This episode is sponsored by Moonlight Liquor, located 265 North Moonlight Road, Gardner, Kansas. Open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Moonlight Liquor is the biggest around with a square footage of 10,000 feet. They carry 48 cooler doors full of domestic and imported beer, a huge craft selection, including local breweries, also accessible through the walk-in cooler. They carry a wide selection of domestic and imported wines, including local wineries and an organic and sustainable wine selection. And of course, a massive selection of spirits and liqueurs.
And for you cigar fans, like myself, Moonlight Liquor has a walk-in humidor that carries a nice variety of over 30 cigar brands. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Modcast. That applause sound pretty real?
Yeah, it's pretty
sound like in the studio. I like that. Mark, it's we're gonna say it's Sunday morning.
It is Sunday morning. We're shooting
like-
this one a little later in the week than usual, but we get them in when we can.
Some people are pretty busy during the week, and we try to get them in. Like I tell everybody out there, I try to get I work with everyone. If we can get you in when it's possible, we'll get you in. We'll talk a little bit. Have fun. This is fun. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, well, we had a busy week this week, too.
And with our week, yes. At work, I was busy, and then everything trying to get settled for our event that we had yesterday.
Yeah, speaking of which, do you want to do a quick little shout out for your birthday boy?
Oh, yeah.
Let everybody know.
Let everybody know that.
So this is Sunday. This will be coming out, which is today on a Tuesday. But last Saturday,
Yep, was my youngest son, Christian, no H, Garcia.
the Wheels of Steel, man. It
Man
was
on the Wheels of Steel.
Chris, how old did you turn?
19.
He turned 19.
19. Way to go, Chris. This is now your life really starts. Yeah, so don't
Oh my
look
God,
so
he's just looking. People can't see us, but he's giving us such a death glare that.
Yeah, so we celebrated Chris's birthday. Actually, on the same day that my nephew Jose got married.
Yeah,
Cousin Jose.
that was fun.
Yeah, it was a real blast. So I'm surprised. It's pretty good that I actually had to behave last night.
What, you didn't want to go
Because-
overboard?
No, I didn't go overboard. I mean, I had a nice little buzz going,
Okay,
but I didn't go like overboard like I usually do.
right.
Right. Yeah. And you guys still partied on after.
Yeah, no, we went out to bars after.
Yeah. So
That was
it
fun. Yeah.
It was a good night. Jose,
Yeah.
we're definitely going to get you on soon. We'll talk about everything that happened because it was a good night.
It was definitely fun. It was definitely fun for sure.
So speaking of good nights, I know our guest, I think he had a good night last night.
I sure did.
Well, I want to hear about this.
Well, introduce him.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest, our sponsor for Moonlight Liquor, Mr. Joe Spinello.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you for coming in. I'm glad you're here. Just to let you know that this is our 12th episode of the Big Modcast. And this is where we end our what do you go to say?
Well, technically, so what we're doing is, I think I've mentioned this before on the pod, is we're doing a 12-season episode. So this would be the end of the first season.
The first season. That's
there
what
you go.
I couldn't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know
Jeez.
why. It's the first
Like,
season.
As much as we watch
shows and TV
shows,
where everything is based
talk
on
about-
seasons.
I know. I couldn't remember. I went blank.
It's the first season.
It's the old.
Well,
part
it's
of
the
me.
first season. We'll be going on to the second season here coming soon.
Yeah. So, Joe, welcome to the 12th episode of the first season, and maybe we can get you for the first episode of the second season.
Yes.
I know you'd like to come in. If Joe could come in every day, he would.
So far, I'm impressed. So far,
Wow, that's
doesn't take much.
so far I'm impressed. That's funny. Joe, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing good. I partied a little bit last night. I haven't, I don't get out much anymore, and
Right.
kids and drinking is not my deal anymore. It just takes too long to recover.
Yeah.
What irony? What irony is that?
I know.
Right? You own a liquor store, but I'm not much of a drinker.
I'm not. Thank God I don't work at a McDonald's because I'm an eater.
That's funny. Excuse us while we pop our drinks open, because we gotta bite the dog that bit us. I once heard someone told me that once. You've heard that, right? Bite the dog that bit you.
You don't bite the dog that bites you. That doesn't make any sense. No, it's you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Bark at the
No, you don't.
It's the hair of the dog.
The hair of the dog that bit you? I don't
No,
know.
you don't. Okay, you don't bite the hand. You don't bite the hand. You don't bite the hand that feeds you.
That's got nothing to do with alcohol.
No, but
it's like you're our sponsor for an alcohol, so it's like, oh, let's not talk about how you shouldn't drink alcohol when our sponsor is is a liquor store. That's the confusing part.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was years ago. I got trashed and I went to a party the next morning and they're like, man, what's wrong with you? I said, man, I had a rough night. And they're like, you want a beer? I'm like, no. He goes, well, you gotta bite the dog. I don't know.
Hair of the dog.
You gotta
the expression.
Okay. What's it?
Hair of the dog. You mean you drink more alcohol to kind of
get
settle
you back
it down. Yeah.
Okay. So how's that expression said? Just
hair of the dog?
Hair of the dog.
Really? I've never heard it that way.
That's the only way I've heard it.
Really?
The hair of the dog.
That's funny.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I know.
Hair of the dog.
Hair of the dog. Okay, that's a good one to know.
I would just drink water.
After,
To
just try to get yourself
dehydrated. Yeah.
But like in the summer, I played men's fast pitch with our family team, and we would play Saturdays and then just get hammered Saturday night. Then we got to wake up Sunday morning because we have more games to play, and boom, we start popping
fast pitch.
Men's fast pitch.
I would have never thought that.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Really?
a pretty intense deal.
Dude, you know what, Joe? Oh man, you know what? The season's already over too.
I'm not playing. I get asked all the time to play in that senior league. Just because I played when I was younger doesn't mean I could. It translates to now. It just doesn't happen.
I mean, right here, you could see yourself doing it, right? I do that all the time. But no, I don't play anymore. I stopped when I was 37 because I started coaching the boys, and and then we have a ball team, and it's a family team we've had since 1976. My dad and his brothers formed a team, played men's fast pitch, and they're all ex-baseball players or whatnot, so they had to learn how to throw fast pitch underhand. And through the generations, when I started to come in, me and my cousins, we kind of took over the team. And then the youngest brothers of my dad stayed on the team and coached. And they're gone now, or they're still with us, but they're no longer part of the team, still part of the organization. And then now we have like his cousins that are playing ball. So our team is still going. Yeah. And it's awesome. And good to say that we're in the Smithsonian there in DC.
Really?
Yeah. I'll show you some video that we have there.
Because of the amount of people you guys have?
I think it's because of the culture, the men's fast pitch. It's a Mexican American league that we had down in KCK. Oh. Yeah, played down there at Shawnee Park. I don't know if you're familiar with that park, Osage and Kansas Avenue. Played there for many years, Clopper Field and KCK. Played in tournaments in Missouri, and we did a lot of traveling. Yeah, but it was a big thing back in the day down in Kansas City, Kansas.
Kansas City, Missouri, excuse me. Also, they had a thing called the I League, the Italian League. All the really? Italian guys used to play.
The I League.
My dad, the I League.
You know what's funny you said? Because I think I remember hearing about it, but I never put it together.
They played at Maple Park, which was down off of Pendleton and Cliff Drive down in the Bluffs. And it only stopped because the housing projects were the backdrop of this field.
Okay.
And so everybody would park in the outfield far enough away not to get the balls hit at them.
Yeah.
And my grandmother lived maybe, 200 yards up the road, up a hill. Anyway, there was housing projects back there. And one night they heard gunshots. No way. Yeah. And next thing you know, everybody on the field's kind of looking up behind them. And over the hill comes a bunch of Asian people running, and then other people chasing them, shooting at them.
No way.
Come down into the ballpark, and the Italians were like, let's get going or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the night that Jack Stacy was trying to get away, and he got shot and killed right there, and everybody's swinging ball bats. And I mean, it was like a movie scene.
Yeah,
I'm a kid. I get thrown under the bench of this. In the bench, there was just a fence around it, just a fence. There was no like
Protection,
dugout or protection. So me and another guy were underneath the I'm probably 9 years old. And I see my dad fighting. I see everybody fighting, and they're just trying to get everybody, like, get off the field. Let's get everybody out of here. The fans were running. And then we saw him get shot, and I'm getting dragged from under the dugout bench to the car, which was, God, it seemed like miles away. I'm crying. I'm scared to death. And that was the end of the I League.
Oh, really? That ended
crap.
Oh, yeah. It was terrible. That guy lost his life, Jack Stacy.
Man.
He was a football coach down behind Montgomery Wards. Remember that down on Independence Avenue?
Yes. I
think it might have been St. John's, but that's where they used to practice the Northeast Vikings. I grew up in Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like your Kansas City, Kansas, 7th and Central area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where I grew up, right behind my dad's club, that Shady Lady.
Yeah.
Oh, the Shady Lady.
Yeah, we'll have to bring that up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That is.
That's an interesting story, man.
Yeah.
That's a confusing story.
It is confusing.
Like, I'm curious, who was shooting at the Asians? No one knows?
The African-American people were coming up from there. I guess they had a beef or something happened, and
There's no movie about this yet. It's got to be out there. It's got to be on film. Nobody had cameras back then. Oh shit!
That sounds literally like a race war. You had like 4 different nationalities.
Yeah. Well, the Italians for once had nothing to do with it. They were just playing, and it was in the height of when the River Market, which used to be called the River Quay.
Yeah.
So my family are Cascones. So they own the restaurant.
Oh, good restaurant. I love that restaurant.
Right. Well, my mom and her brothers and my grandfather owned the one down the River Market, served breakfast and lunch, and then closed up at like 3:30. His brothers went out north and then out south. But that was back in the day when the mafia was blowing up joints down there, and people were getting shot in bars, and it was just a free-for-all. Yeah. People trying to take control of different parts of the city. Well, it seemed like they all came together for these softball teams, yeah. And then, like I said, they were just minding their own business, playing, and we were having a good time.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm telling you, like when you watch a Western and the cowboys are riding the range, and then right over the horizon, all the Indians, it's like, "Oh no, what happened?" And then they just inadvertently got mixed into the deal, and that was that.
So, man, you're telling me this story, and it's going through my head. I can literally see it like a movie, right? So, and it reminds me of The Wanderers. Do you remember that movie?
I do remember, one of my favorite movies.
Right? It's one of mine, too. And you've watched it?
I've been
telling them about it. I mean, we love the song, The Wanderers, right?
That's a great song. I do love that song.
So, because it's in the movie, and they love singing that song when they're all together.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think it was that movie, because remember, there was a football scene.
Yeah, on the football field.
And then
Native Americans show up?
no, not the Native Americans, but it was like the blacks against the Italians.
It was a real race war.
It was a football, and then it turned into a big fight, and the helmets were thrown and smacking, and that one dad, big buff guy, breaks that bench and has his giant stick, and he's just whacking people on the football field. And
is this a
hell? I even think he punches
a drama or a comedy? What are we trying?
The Wanderers?
That was a great show.
Yeah, it was. It was a good movie. Yeah, I have to watch it.
Huh.
But yeah, that's where you took me there to the Wanderers, did I? But I mean, what were you doing that day? I mean, just playing around, watching.
It was a Sunday night.
Just a Sunday night.
They played every Sunday night and Wednesday night.
So you were just watching the game of baseball.
They'd let me sit on in the dugout. I got the bat boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Now a lot of this recollection is coming from my dad.
Okay.
And
did your dad play, or was he coach? Okay,
no,
so your dad
he was playing. My dad was an athlete.
Was he?
He was an athlete. He played in the first alumni game at Northwest Missouri State. That's where he was 2-sport All-American.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. I got to hear all that.
I want to hear about it.
They actually went back to college in 1985 and played the varsity. They padded up and everything. Ended up beating the varsity. And my dad was a kick returner, running back, kind of a slot back. But
That was back in the times when you could be anything.
and he was the kicker, extra point kicker.
Yeah, see?
So after the game, I'm proud of my dad and all that good stuff because he was 5'6", but the fastest guy in the city, and he'll tell you stories. That's a guy to get in here.
Oh, definitely, we got to get him here.
A kid comes up to him, a man comes up to him with his kid, and he says, "Mr. Spinello," he goes, "you probably don't remember me." He goes, "But I used to catch your kicks when you'd be practicing. I'd sit in the end zone and you practice or kick in the game. I would go get the ball. I was that little kid back there. Can you sign this football for me?" And my dad was just like over the moon. He was like, "Yeah, absolutely." But 35 years old, my dad was in 85, and playing full pads against these kids. Nowadays,
So he was still in good shape, and
I don't know about all that. Those guys were smoking on the sideline. And now the quarterback, Joe Mike Kalia was his name. He was still throwing bullets and obviously not completing many passes. But my dad ran the ball, and he scored a touchdown, and nobody got hurt, no pulled hamstrings. It was amazing. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Northwest Missouri State's a powerhouse in football and basketball.
Yeah.
National titles and all that good stuff. Yep.
man, that's wow. And then they actually let that happen. They let that go.
Yeah. My dad, not to get into this deal, but he was on the very first all-metro football team in Kansas City back in 1960.
Dang.
They had a big 20-year anniversary spread on the front page of the Kansas City Star. I was getting ready to start my freshman year at Rockhurst.
Okay.
And they put a little blip in there about, Spinello's sons going to Rockhurst and big shoes to fill kind of thing.
Were they?
Yeah, they were. I quit.
Did you?
I transferred my after my sophomore year. Rockhurst was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to maintain a certain GPA, and I couldn't do it. Yeah. I probably could, but that wasn't my deal. I just wanted to play sports. That's all I wanted to do. And they didn't have a baseball team, and baseball was my deal.
Your sport,
yeah, that was it. And so I gave them 2 years. We won the state title my sophomore year, and then they told me over the summer I was going to be ineligible for the first 3 or 4 games. And I told my old man, I said, "This is the whole reason I went to Rockhurst, to play football for you." That didn't go over well. So I said, "I'm going to transfer, go live with my mom up at Park Hill," and end up playing baseball there, and then played college and went pro and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Wow.
All from the I League, though. That was an experience. That was a really weird deal. And I could tell you 10 stories like that just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And seeing stuff just blow up.
Man, but what was it like just you as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old and seeing your dad out there fighting? And
scary.
Was it?
Yeah. I can't imagine with,
I'm sure he knew you were somewhere safe. I'm sure. You said you were under a bench.
Threw me under the bench, but the bench was this wide. And I'm this wide.
Yeah, protected a little bit of yourself.
Everybody's swinging baseball bats and wielding guns, and it's like, wow, this is crazy stuff.
Crazy event, but overall, it could be a pretty interesting pick. Hey, we're a production studio. We can make a movie out of this. You figure out how to get the stories. We'll get the stories, and we'll create something, because that story's so crazy. Yeah. That's something you have to look up in articles, because I bet there's media or somewhere back in the day, old articles.
Yeah. Another guy that was there was a guy named Tony Cheverini. Do you remember that name?
I remember the name.
He was a boxer.
Yeah.
What a dope name.
He used to hang out at the Villa Capri that was up on Independence Avenue and Prospect. Italian hangout or whatever.
Yeah, where was he from? I mean, did he live in that area?
I think he
Northeast.
He lived. I don't know if he lived there. Okay. I just remember seeing him, and he fought like Roberto Duran.
Yes, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't win
do too well,
but he was making money and getting his ass beat.
Yeah,
but he was out there.
When you meet him, you're a kid looking up to this boxer. You're like, wow, and eating dinner with them and hanging out with all the guys, and that was back in the heyday where all the Italians lived down in Northeast.
Yeah.
Before the migration out to North Kansas City, and not many of them went to Johnson County. They were all North Kansas City people. They end up fleeing, and I stayed down there with my dad and my grandparents till they passed away. Mm-hmm. We had some row houses, probably 15 of them that were on my block, and then we owned the majority of them. And then everybody started moving out. And then other cultures started coming in. And then about 1999, when I met my wife, we built the house and became Johnson County people.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing wrong with Johnson County people, but coming from Missouri, it's like, why is it so quiet out here? What's going on?
Oh, something's getting ready to happen. I can feel it.
Joe's like, it's quiet out here, but I'm gonna make some noise now. We got to bring this place to life.
Man, it was something else. I'm sitting there staring at the ceiling my first night in bed and got tears rolling. I said, something's gonna happen. What's the matter? Why is it so quiet? She's like, it's just how it is. You know, there's no gunshots, sirens, nothing. I was like, oh boy.
Well, where's your wife from?
Lawrence. She was born in Lawrence and then grew up out here. She actually grew up on a 30-acre tract that's a stone's throw from where I live now.
Oh, wow.
Her mom had 30 acres. And back then when mom and dad split up, she ended up selling that land, and not to me, but it got landlocked. There's a bunch of like town and country villas or something around there. But now I live
not too far,
not a mile from there on 20 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty cool.
Same deal down at Maple Park.
Mm-hmm. Is it still
there?
Still there.
Back in the day, you know, my dad was an Anheuser-Busch guy. He was a Budweiser guy. Retired at 45 years old from Budweiser. He was August Bush's right-hand man.
Really?
We went to every game of the World Series. Well, not in Kansas City, but when they played St. Louis, we flew in Mr. Bush's helicopter over to St. Louis and back. He had a big tour bus, and we would ride on it. He sent my little sister Lucy a Clydesdale pony. We lived in Northeast in this row house that I'm talking about. Our yard was not as big as
square footage as the studio.
Yeah. And he, Mr. Bush, I think it's fantastic. We love it. We cannot accept the Clydesdale. Where are you going to put? We'd have nowhere to
Stables,
put. Nothing. It was fantastic.
So to him, it was just like a pony, right?
Yeah.
Just
you would have never known that my dad was like somebody like that. But then years later, when I got into the liquor business, everybody was like, "Oh my God, Joe!" It was like I was playing sports again. "Oh my God, you're Joe Spinello's son." You know, he's a legend at Budweiser. He used to stand up on desks and rah the team.
Really, that's
and
awesome.
Do all this stuff, man. Maybe my dad's a good one to have in here.
Yeah,
he can tell you some stories.
We could bring him in. Both of you guys,
man,
you know,
man.
and
He's weirdly got a Forrest Gump scenario kind of lifestyle.
I'm telling you, that's kind of how our lives have been. Even mine's been like that. I've been at different places, and if we have time, I'll start talking about some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But back at Maple Park, my dad had this big Lincoln, not a Lincoln, a big silver boat, it looked like, that he used to drive with like red velvet interior or whatever.
Classy.
He had a cooler in the back of his car, and it had little Budweiser, Bud Heavy, you know, like the red label Budweiser cans. And they were like maybe 8 ounces now that I'm thinking back on it. Well, me and this kid, Louis Rivera, my buddy, we didn't know any better. So we're drinking these beers, right?
Yeah.
And my mom and dad were divorced at the time, and he had to take us back because it was Sunday night. He had to take me back to my mom's. And she had lived in these apartments when we got back in California and had wooden stairs, about 15 of them. And I get out of the car, and I'm thinking, man, Dad, I don't feel so good. He's like, just go tell your mother, you know, she'll take care of it. See you later, whatever. I get in the house.
But he didn't know what you gotten into.
No.
Okay.
Well, he did after I fell down the steps. And my mom says, "You're drunk. You got my son drunk. He's 9 years old." I had no idea. And he saw all the bottles on the back floorboard of the car. And he's like, "You drank 5 of those." I didn't know.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was another Maple Park story.
So you probably have quite a bit of stories of Maple Park.
I do.
So your Maple Park is like my Franklin Center.
Your stomping grounds.
Yeah, my stomping grounds, where I lived on 15th Street in KCK. We had Franklin Center, giant old school that's not used anymore, but it's still there. And that's where we hung out every summer. Hell, sometimes
you got to remember back when we were kids, man, no cell phones, obviously, and we had a bicycle if we were lucky. If we stole the right one, we had bicycles, and we just were gone all day. You know, even during school, we'd jump out of school. I'd get in trouble a lot. I mean, I must have got suspended 1,000 times. Go out in the hallway. Go here. Well, everybody that worked at the school was either friends with my mom, friends with my grandmother. My grandmother actually cooked at the school, so all the Italian kids would get these huge plates of food going through the line, and then all the white kids would
just get a little bit of
and then we get seconds. And they treated us so much better, but that was just the perks. But when I got in trouble, my grandmother'd be in the office.
The whole school was there. All the faculty were in there.
They smack you in the mouth. They paddle you. They do whatever. They'd put their hands on you, and then your parents would come, and that was the saving. At least my dad's not going to hit me.
Right.
Well, I get smacked around too by him, but they would always kick me out, and I would take those times because my dad would travel a lot when he was with Budweiser, and when I lived with him, I really had no oversight. He would leave money on the table and say, do the best you can. If you're hungry, I learned to cook, clean, do my laundry. I haven't done my laundry since I've been married because I don't do it right, apparently. But I did all that stuff for years and years and years.
Yeah. So you got your hands dirty.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Yeah.
I know where I come from. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was going to. So I was going to ask you, where are you originally from? So you were born and raised
in Northeast Kansas City. 12th and Prospect.
12th and Prospect.
It's called Perry. So it goes 12th Street, Perry, 11th, 10th, 9th, kind of like that. I don't know why Perry got thrown in there, but and then Independence Avenue is right.
Somebody famous named Perry.
I don't know.
Got
and it's even spelled different. Peery. Peery.
Peery.
And that's just on one sign. The other sign's spelled Perry.
Oh my God. They don't know.
Well,
they don't.
Somebody misspelled it. It just
I'm telling
became
you,
a thing.
It's craziness. It's crazy.
They don't know what street they're on.
I know, right?
But that's where I'm from. And, just a big Italian community. My nanny and papi lived over on Pendleton, and that was up and down of who's who of Kansas City. The Fazzinos, he was a congressman, Alex Fazzino, and then they had just offshoots of other families. So you'd have the mom and dad, and then, the brother. I'm talking like my uncle's age is 60 plus. They would be living on the same block in these big estate houses that they have over in historic Northeast. Mm-hmm. And then you'd cross over Independence Avenue. It was like on the other side of the tracks, kind of. So anyway, that's where my dad lived on that side. My mom lived on the other side. And we walked everywhere. We hung out with. We never went hungry. You know what I mean? You'd go to your buddy's aunt's house just because they'd see you walking.
Let me make you a big plate. I'll make you a big plate.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I think Mexicans are a lot like Italians. And I think that whole culture does that too. Just feed you, even though you're not hungry, you still eat.
So you don't. It's rude not to eat.
It's rude not to eat.
Yeah,
it's rude not to eat.
Mm-hmm. No.
I said, listen, I got a weight problem. I got
smaller portions, please. I need some.
I'm trying to watch the waistline. Yeah. Please help me out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in the language, of course, Italian, Spanish,
not too far.
It's not too far. I can listen to somebody speaking Italian and I can pick up a few words, and I'm sure they do the same with us too. Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I heard it and listened to it and understood most of it. I never spoke it, but
did the parents speak it?
My parents did not. My grandparents did.
Your grandparents, and where are your grandparents from? Are they from Italy or
they're from Sicily?
Okay.
They come via New York, then Louisiana, and then to Kansas City, and then some went to Rockford, Illinois.
Okay, and then their last stop was Kansas City.
Yeah,
and did you ever wonder why Kansas City? I mean, of course, and then everybody came through because that's what we wonder about. Well, my grandfather. I mean, what was it about Kansas City where they just stopped? And of course, it's work. My grandfather found at the railroad. Then his sons, my grandfather and grandmother, they had split. He come up. Then the kids, my dad and his brother, started to come up to Kansas City with their dad. Then they started working for the railroad. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're just stuck in Kansas City. And
yeah, I guess that's. I mean, it could have been.
Sure that's
Topeka.
The way.
Who
right.
knows,
Exactly. Why couldn't it have been Topeka? Why couldn't it have been Manhattan? Why couldn't it have been boom Kansas City? And believe me, I'm glad we're here.
Yeah.
I couldn't have it any better.
Yeah, knowing what we know now, I'm glad it was Kansas City.
Right.
I like to think there's a lot of just you know, like you hear like from an outside perspective, you hear all the stories of like, you know, like the Italians, like they settled like in like the growing major cities, like they started with like Chicago and Kansas City, like, you know, where the mob kind of like certain places developed, like I guess other Italians like picked up on that, like, oh, they're in Kansas City. So I like to imagine that it just word of mouth and everybody just ended up right here.
And knowing Italians and how egotistical we are most of the time, they probably wanted their own city, their own deal. You know, well, you're in Chicago, I'm going to Kansas City. Well, I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to stay in New York, or I'm going here, going there. But usually it was the Midwest that the Italians settled in. You rarely hear about Italians settling on the West Coast. It's usually East Coast,
East Coast,
or in the Central,
Midwest,
to take over their. You know, in New York they had 5 families. You know, in Kansas City they had 2. Now this is all alleged. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, so you know, that's just a way of the world. It surprises me that they all didn't get along. But you know, when you're fighting for power or fighting for whatever, you know, because the mafia, from what I read and know or see, it was a great organization minus the violence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like a big time corporation. You're not really selling anything. You're just kind of doing. We should probably edit all that.
We'll stop right there.
I don't want to.
Well, we won't get too deep.
Yeah.
Although I am curious because just like as I guess you just took inspiration from the Italian like kind of the lore for you, like your own specific logo, like for at Moonlight, isn't it? Because it has the I don't know what you.
Yeah, how did you pick that logo for your store?
Are you just like
you mean like the Al Capone?
Yeah, like I couldn't think of like the right word, but
my the guy that used to make all my T-shirts, my banners and things, he just pulled that logo up. He goes, "This is you." And I'm like, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and just used it. It wasn't anything really
related to the fact that you are Italian.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
Oh, you're Italian, Joe? All this. Oh, okay.
He put 2 and 2 together. So.
It took me a little while. Yeah.
Well, I also like to think about it like, is that where why liquor store? Was it because your dad? Because being part of like the Budweiser family and just like
Budweiser.
But I said Budweiser, didn't I? Yeah, Budweiser. Yeah,
we'll edit that part out too.
It's not because of him. It's got a lot to do with the industry. But when I stopped playing baseball, I retired in 1997, met my wife. I had a cell phone and pager store that I started. Oh. And then Sprint PCS come in and buy that from me and started their first Sprint PCS store out in North Kansas City up on Berry Road.
Okay.
And then I got into the security industry, armed and unarmed security guards. And I was about 10 minutes from going broke. Some buddies asked me while I was playing baseball, hey, we need X amount of dollars. This is the layout. This is how much money this company is going to be making. We have all the people. Retired, came back home, and there was like $700 in the bank out of the 60-something thousand that I had given them. And they're all my childhood buddies. You know, we're all, you know, tattooed together. These guys are my ride and die, so to speak. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, you got to go. You know, you guys are still acting like kids, and I'm trying to get a business and a life. So I took it over, and I got all the training, went to the police department stuff, and did everything I was supposed to do. Started running all these accounts myself, and then I met a guy that had partial ownership of 30 buildings in the River Market. Wow. He's like, I need security, just a driving patrol, A, B, and C buildings. Okay, you know, I'll do it. How many guys you got working? I said, I got a dozen guys. You know, I had me, right? And then I did that. And then in between the buildings that he didn't own, I would go during the daytime, knock on doors and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. So I kind of double dipped. Yeah. And by the time I knew it, I was making $40,000 a month. Wow. Just doing patrol. And then I started hiring more people and doing all that stuff. Ended up selling that company in 2009 when a buddy said, hey, I got a liquor store that is out in Gardner. Guy's not doing it. 6 months old. Guy's kind of a loose cannon, you know, drugs, whatever. I don't know what happened. But I went out to Gardner and I thought, I've been here once before, but I don't ever want to go back. Yeah. Because it was just such a small town.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything in 2000. 2000 was the first time I was there, but then in 07, when this guy brought me the liquor store, he's like, just go see what you think. And they had everything building, they had Walmart. They started coming up.
Yeah.
And I made the guy an offer and he took it. And then, I got that store, and then I
gave him an offer he
store.
can't refuse.
He didn't refuse it. He didn't refuse it, and I did that, and then bought another one in 09, and been buying and selling, but keeping the real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at now with the one store that's actually my wife owns it.
Okay.
So I still have a liquor license available, because in Kansas you could only have one per name, one per social security number.
No,
It
really.
tries to keep big corporations out of it, keep the mom and pops in business, which is very nice, because you don't want Quick Trip coming in and owning 14 liquor stores to just setting prices and doing all that stuff. It's different. In Kansas, the liquor laws are a lot tighter than they are in Missouri or other places. There's no discount buying per se. Like in Missouri, you could buy 25 cases of Crown Royal and they'll give you 3 cases of vodka for free or whatever.
Wow.
In Kansas, they have to offer discounts to everybody that's the 715 licensees.
Yeah.
So if you're offered 25 cases at $250 a case, they have to offer it to the little guy too. But little guys can't buy 25 cases of Crown Royal. So there's also a discrepancy, but that's mom and pop. Down in Wellsville, Kansas, a little liquor store.
Yeah.
My guy might be making $50,000 a year because he's working it himself and doing his thing. He just can't buy right because of the capital.
Yeah.
You need a lot of capital in the liquor game.
Okay.
Where you make your money is when you're buying it from the distributors. So if you buy it right, buy low, sell high is the way
name of the game.
Yeah, that's how it goes in the liquor business.
Wow.
But that's been my deal. I know the most about that. I know it inside and out. I like it. I enjoy it. I just don't drink much anymore.
Yeah.
To do all the tastings. They want to send me to California to,
You need some tasters? Hey, we can go for you. We'll go check it out.
Napa. You could go all these places,
Oh,
the
Napa,
distilleries down in Tennessee, and drink whiskey all day long and buy barrels. They'll put your name on them. They'll put your logo and label on all this stuff. But
We'll put the big modcast on some barrels.
Burn it on there.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool though. I mean, you've had your trials and errors. So you've really had to work for where you are now.
And you know what? And Joe's he's still doing it. He's still moving forward. So good for you,
everybody
Joe.
calls it a hustle, and
That's because they don't understand. They don't want to work hard. That's the problem, and that's something we get here. Because we started a business. I mean, like everybody's gonna look down on you at first, like, oh, that's not gonna work. Well, just watch us succeed.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work hard, we will.
And I'm proud of you guys that you guys started this business, and you guys are able to help me get started to something that I wanted to do. And of course, my friend Joe here, he said, "Yeah, I'll help you. It sounds fun. I'll help you."
And
do
we
what you
super
wanna do.
appreciate that. Like
being
a business ourselves. Like, how am I supposed to tell my dad? Like, hey, Dad, our prices, just because we want to do, they are going to be kind of expensive, and it's going to be hard on someone else. So, for you to do that, I really appreciate that. To give my dad a chance.
no problem at all. No problem.
Yeah, so let the viewers know that yes, Mr. Joe Spinello and I are friends. We've met years ago. I just didn't go into his liquor store and say, "Hey, Mr. Joe, you want to sponsor a podcast?" No, Joe and we've been friends for a while. How far back would we go, Joe? How far back do you think?
Ileana and Sophia are 16, 17. How old are they?
Yeah, they'll be 17.
My daughter's 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be 7.
They were playing soccer against each other when they were probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we saw, Sophie, the Rickers.
Yeah.
Jim was the coach, but I just remember these little Mexican girls from KCK. I thought they were from, we always think, oh, they're really good kind of deal.
Yeah, they're from KCK. Yeah, their shorts don't match their shirt. Yeah.
Where'd you get those shoes? Those look like ours. Yeah. So, and Sandy was coaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we thought, man, we've got my daughter's pretty good. Kate Ricker's pretty good. Ileana's pretty good.
Okay, so we got an Italian girl, we got a Mexican girl, we got the white girl. Okay, we got something going here.
And who was Cece? Remember Cece?
Yeah. To see
Yeah.
on Tavares.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was on your team, and
Yeah. And then, and it's crazy because I don't remember the park, but I remember going with Sandy. And I think we had some of my niece's little girls playing as well. They didn't continue to play, but I remember, Sandy was asking the family, hey, I'm gonna get a team together. And so we just started getting some friends and family. And I remember that. And we played against Coach Rickers. You said because Sophie was playing for Coach Rickers.
Called the Junior Smashers is who they were.
Yeah, and then somehow, I don't remember how they combined, but...
Well, we asked.
Oh, okay.
Well, how do we get those two kids, or especially Eliana, how do we get her?
Yeah.
We want her on the team, and then we just dominated after that.
It was
crazy.
It was
girls.
fun.
Oh, my goodness. And they're still good. I know Ely doesn't play soccer anymore, just volleyball, but... Sophie just won a state championship.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
This year,
for her to get a state championship.
As a sophomore, it's pretty good,
Yeah, I think our teams have done really well. Our girls, they've gotten older. Slowly they've played with different teams, but they're all doing something well in high school.
Yep.
And
the big part of that whole thing was back like when I was playing baseball, I played at Kansas City 3-2. We had blacks, Mexicans, China, whoever played.
Is that the one? What was it? What was that park
off of Bannister Road?
Oh, okay, 3-2 Missouri.
Yeah,
I
Missouri 3-2.
Oh, okay.
And it was just such a diverse crowd, even in my neighborhoods. I mean, outside of the Italian kids, we hung out with everybody. And my kids didn't get I wanted my kids to have that, but I knew, and not a knock on Johnson County, but it's a lot of white people, and I didn't want my kids just to run around with just average people every day. I wanted them to see how other people live. And, I've been hustling, and I feel like every day I could be tackled from behind and somebody take everything that I've ever, earned in my life. And it keeps me going, My kids, I don't think they realize that, I don't think they see that. They see my drive, they see my hustle, but I don't think they appreciate what I've done, the things that I've failed at to get to kind of where I'm at now. And I still don't see myself as that guy that's been successful. I've been successful, but I feel like it's going to be taken away. I always feel like I'm one step in the bucket kind of.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm staying on my game and keeping them, but I want my kids to know that it's not easy, that you have to work. You got to put in the work. Not that, all these kids now, they don't have a trade. I tell my son, you learn to use your hands. Go work on air conditioning, do this.
Yeah.
They just don't want to hear it, They don't want to do that. And,
or the mechanical work, get them greasy, get them dirty a little bit.
I know two boys that grew up with my son. They were both diesel mechanics.
Really?
Making $150,000.
You know what? Man, and sometimes my dad would always tell me, hey, when you go to school, do the mechanic work. They're always going to need a mechanic. I'm like,
always.
I don't want to get my hands dirty. And now I do. Thank you, YouTube. I think I've become a mechanic because of YouTube.
For sure.
But how did our dads do it back in the day? Was your dad always? Did he ever get?
My
his
dad
hands?
wasn't. My dad was an executive from the time he left college. He just went to work. He got my mom pregnant. They were married, and then he had to take a job at Budweiser loading trucks and worked his way.
That's not a bad job. That's not a bad place to start either.
And even that's such a great story. You start at the bottom and you work your way up.
That's the way you figure everything out.
Yeah.
My buddy Brad Hewlett that owns the car dealerships, I remember him driving a new Mustang every 6 months, because his dad had that. But I always thought when people say that, you're starting on third base, kind of, your life.
Right there.
He was washing cars. He was a porter. He did everything in that dealership that his father asked him to do, being groomed to take over one day. So it just wasn't, okay, you're out of college now. Well, I'm going to put you in a sales position, or you're going to manage all these people that have been here 20 years. People don't like that stuff.
Right.
But if they see you coming up through the ranks, it's just lucky because you're who you are. But if you're working and they like you and you're one of them, you got it made, man.
Definitely.
Is that what you want for one of your children? You want one of them to take over the business?
I don't.
No?
They don't want it. My daughter, Gigi's finishing up her senior year this year down at K-State.
Awesome.
She got a contract to go to work for Eurofins. She's a food science major.
Oh, wow.
And they're a big food company that's in 53 states and other countries. And she's going to Madison, Wisconsin in May when she graduates. And starting out like it's $62,000 a year.
That's awesome.
Plus benefits, plus 3 weeks of paid time off. It's just like crazy stuff.
Good for her, man.
AJ's
That's
got
awesome.
a couple different businesses in Colombia that he's doing. And he's going through grad school right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making their own.
They're making
way.
their own.
You've done well, Joe, with your kids.
Yeah.
You got them going in the right direction, and that's awesome.
And they're respectful.
Yeah.
They're really learning the respect now that my mom's staying with us she's had another operation and
Well, hard hand on coming down.
Well, she's got the west wing of the house, right? Yeah.
yes, it's funny, but she's old school Italian and will say things not quite under her breath so everybody could hear, and my kids will look at her like
Grandma.
like, Nani, you shouldn't say that stuff, And most of the time it's to them, and I hear them say stuff under the breath. I said, we respect Nani while she's here, blah, blah, blah. So it's different for them, but I definitely like them getting a taste of what I grew up with. Yeah.
And Jamie and Mama they get along pretty well?
Best buds.
Best buds?
Hang out all the time. She takes her to all the doctor's appointments. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And so it's working out pretty good right now.
Yeah, that's good. So what was your first job? I mean, from maybe 10, 11, did you have a job? Paperwork, any?
My dad had the big warehouse full of beer, and I think he said,
you were the taste.
So we had moved to California. We followed my dad, obviously, and then we lived in Fresno for a couple years, and they got divorced. I remember he came home and, the divorce papers were on the table and we were gone. She brought us back to Kansas City. Pretty bad deal. And we got back and he took a transfer back to Kansas City immediately. He didn't want to stay out there without his kids, So he says I was about 9 when I was in the where me and my sisters would go to work with them on Saturdays because he'd have us on Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah. And I taught myself how to drive a forklift.
At 9 years old.
At 9 years old.
Holy crap.
So I didn't really know. I just knew that when you step on the gas, it wouldn't go anywhere. And so I started playing with the different pedals. Yeah. And then I think it was here on the tree, so to speak. And I'm sitting there and I learned how to drive it. Yeah. And we're playing hide and go seek. And my dad couldn't find me.
Don't tell me you were up on the rags, right?
No. Oh, okay. I was driving around all these pallets of beer. And when he saw that, this look on his face was like, you could A, be killed, by stuff falling on you. Right. B, you could get me killed from losing all this beer, and all this stuff. And we laugh about that all the time, that I taught myself how to drive a car, a stick shift, all that stuff. It's just, I was taking my grandfather's car. He was legally blind, so I would take him to the grocery stores on Sunday. I'm 12 years old, right?
Holy crap.
I'm sitting on a phone book. I did everything that was, I could tell you some stories about a Bush fan. The bottles, cans of Bush beer, the nice logos with the mountains. My dad had this van that was a Bush fan that he had brought home from work. He goes out of town. He had a suite at Kemper Arena for the Kansas City Kings.
Okay, sweet.
Dang, that was, back when they were playing? Dang. Yeah.
So I was probably, 7th grade, 8th, whatever it was, 1984, 83. And I would call, yes, this is Mr. Spinello. We need chicken fingers and nachos in the suite. My son and his friends will be there. They had the alarm that was over the wheel well. You'd put a little round key in and turn the alarm off. Joe, don't touch the van. It's out back. I need it for the weekend. I'll be back on Thursday, whatever. Yeah. So I called. We took the Bush van I picked up all my friends. I had 6 people in there. And we go down to Kemper Arena. And so, where's your dad? I said, he's coming. He's late. So we're eating and drinking and having a good time. And he got the bill. And I got whipped pretty good for that one. I would do stuff like that. But my grandfather used to make me take him to the stores. And then when he'd go to sleep, he never knew the car was gone. I would take the car on joy rides. Yeah. Shoto, going out to North Kansas City. Yes, Shoto used to have a 2-lane bridge. And I remember being so scared. I'm sitting on a phone book. I got Steve Dominguez, Frankie Lombardo, all these guys in the backseat of the Mark Skinner. And we're driving. And they're like, Joe, we're going to die. We're going to die. I don't think we go to Worlds of Fun like this. We're going to Worlds of Fun.
Yeah.
And gosh, just the things that I could have, if my kids did that to me now, I would be so freaked out. I would be like, you guys are going to cost me my life, just everything, because could have gotten a wreck. And nowadays, you get in a wreck, you get sued. If it's just all kinds of weird stuff happening. Yeah. Thinking back to it, my dad, I'm surprised he didn't have a heart attack. Yeah,
man, Joe, you have so many stories, great stories. I might add. Yeah, and we can one day we could just sit here and just document everything. We don't have to put it in paper or nothing. We just talk about it, and that way your grandchildren one day will say, "Oh yeah,
this is what your grandfather was like."
Papa was like, huh?
Oh yeah.
And that's what we talk about on this podcast is we try to bring up memories, and that's exactly what you're bringing up. So I don't know if you've told your kids all of these stories, but now that they can see this, they'll be like, "Oh wow, that was pretty cool, interesting," and
they've heard a lot of the stories.
Yeah,
a lot of the family stories. We always used to get together, and the houses weren't big, and when we'd have Sunday dinner or Saturday night dinner, there'd be 25, 30 people in this kitchen that was about as big as this room,
And how awesome is that?
It was fun.
And to this day, we do that on Sundays with Sandy's family.
They're literally coming over later today.
Actually, later today, they're all coming over, and we're just, and then we'll talk about what we did last night.
We don't do it enough because everybody's so spread out.
Okay.
My wife's always like, once a month, let's all get together, and everybody's got this or doing that, and the kids are all moving.
Yeah, and add the Garcias on that list, and
Now we have a house that's we've always had a entertainable house, but now everybody could spread out and do their thing, or they could spend the night, or
get lost,
or get lost.
They get lost in that. Yeah,
I don't know about all that. But
have you gotten lost in that house?
No, I've been there once. Nice crib. Yeah, really nice.
Who invited you? Was it late? Did you have the alarm code or what? Yeah, that's funny stuff. But yeah, back in the family days, man, it was all the food that we ate. There's a place called Humdinger. My buddy Joe DiGirolamo's dad owned it, and it was just grease. Everything. You could have tacos and burritos that were deep fried. Everything was just terrible. It ended up killing my uncle at 44 years old on the golf course with my dad.
Holy cow.
It killed my dad's sister. Well, not it, but just our, the
bad eating habits.
Sausage and meatballs on Sunday morning for breakfast, with loaves
past 20 years.
Yes. It was just terrible. And I think my generation, us kids, kind of started to change all that stuff. And, you know what you know until you don't know it anymore.
Right,
you don't eat grease every single day.
Yeah, I try not to
live. Yeah, it's bad stuff. But it was definitely a family bonding time, and it seemed like nobody fought. It just seemed like everybody was happy to be there.
Everybody got along, and
and now everybody's
happy to see each other.
Deals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's cool that I like the fact that when you bring up your friends' names, you say their first and last name. And you got me thinking, man, it's like all the names that you're bringing up are like these names that I probably heard in Goodfellas or The Sopranos. It's cool. It's cool.
There's a lot of in those movies. The Sopranos, pretty much, it was spot on with how they casted that stuff, and it's just like, man, I know those guys. Those guys in particular.
You had one of those guys in your group.
Yeah, one of those guys, not just in my group, but in like my dad's group.
Yeah,
those were the guys that I thought that one time my dad they had somebody had taken boosted a truckload of yellow sweaters from like Pebble Beach. All the Italian guys are wearing these yellow sweaters. It's like, what is happening? But I knew
that's a gang right there. They were all wearing.
And from that day, he was known as Tony's Yellow Sweater Malone.
But yeah, stuff like that. I mean, I could sit here and talk all day. I probably shouldn't talk about stuff like that, but just the family memories.
No, Joe, we're going to say that. We're going to talk about that, but we're not going to air that. We'll keep it for your files.
Yeah.
That's cool. How often do you revisit the hood back where you used to live?
My kids always want to go see places that I talk about.
That's good.
So I'm riding my bike one time, and there's on St. John Avenue, there's a bridge that overlooks a place called Green Lake, and it was where you didn't want to be. Now I'm riding my bike, and I see a guy sitting there, and I pass him on the backside of him, and the bridge is only 7 feet wide, 8 foot wide. and the drop off is probably 200, 300 feet. It's down there.
Jeez.
And to go down Chestnut, you know where Knuckleheads?
Yes.
So you go down, that's Chestnut right there.
Okay.
It's down to the left, but this bridge is up top, and I'm riding my bike, and this guy's over here, and it's just being weird, just staring off into the deal. I get to the end of the bridge, which was another 100 feet, and he climbs up and jumps. I turn back, and I'm like, that guy just jumped. And I look down there, splattered.
No.
Holy crap.
Pavement, all over the pavement.
How high would you say that was that fall?
I don't know. Hopefully he died before he got to the bottom, because it was. I mean, if you go down there and see it, it's
pretty steep.
yeah. I mean, it's way, way, way up there. It'd have probably taken him 10 seconds to fall.
So you saw the dude just.
I saw him when he jumped. I passed him. He never looked either way to see if anybody was looking. He was just looking straight ahead, and it was just like. And I got done. I said, I wonder what he's doing. And he climbs up there and just jumps. Didn't say a word.
Please tell me you didn't tell him to do a flip.
Oh, boy.
Do a flip.
And so the bridge is here.
Yeah.
And then I go, if you went another, I don't know, half a block up the road, Cliff Drive was right here. So you could look over the cliff, and you could even walk down probably 200 feet.
Yeah.
One day I get suspended from school. They send me home at noon.
Imagine that.
Me, Frank Lombardo, and a guy named Richard Cosrog. And so we're going home. Richard lived up on by the concourse, and me and Frank lived on 9th Street. I lived on Perry, and we're just walking by the cliffs. My Aunt Jenny Simone lived across the street, and we're walking, and I look over there and I look down, and I go, look, there's a mannequin down there.
Oh man.
The gal's arm was like this, right?
Yeah.
Legs were stiff over her head, and her pantyhose were down wherever, and we thought it was a mannequin.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We sent Richard down there. He was kind of the not popular kid kind of dude. Like, me and Frank, look, Richard, go down there and check.
Yeah, like the guy that tries the cereal first, like Mikey.
He got that 10 feet. He saw a bird pecking on the gal's arm. And he's like, it's a dead body. So we take off. We go to my Aunt Jenny's house.
Yeah.
Aunt Jenny, call the police. There's a dead body across the street. Found a dead body. I was scared to death.
I got it. At least once an episode, I like to reflect on like people's pastimes and based off a movie. What is this movie? The four boys, they're walking to go find the dead body.
Stand by me.
Stand by me. There
Stand
you go.
by me, yeah.
There's the inspiration.
Okay, we got the Wanderers out of the way.
Yep.
Sopranos, Stand by me. Okay.
So for weeks they didn't find the people who raped and killed her.
Oh,
Dumped
my
her
God.
Out. They dumped her out of the car.
Yeah.
And I slept in my dad's bed. I'm in 8th grade.
Right.
And he's like, how long is this going to go on? You know, I'm like, Dad, they're still out there, and they know that we found that body.
Man.
He's like, well, you don't know who it is.
Right, yeah.
You know, he's like, so I got over that, but.
Hell, but just to even think that you could have been watched or something, you know, I would have never thought that.
That may have just happened like maybe less than like a couple hours ago or something. You're something crazy, and like, holy crap, that he's still maybe in the area.
I know.
That is crazy. Did you report the other one? The jumper?
Oh, of course.
Okay, I wasn't sure if just kept on biking. Nope.
But then, you know, cars are active on that road, so I'm sure somebody else did too. Because when I didn't go to my Aunt Jenny's house, which was 100 feet up the street, I went to my Nani Vita Cascone's house, and I said, Nani, this is what I saw.
Yeah.
And she called the police, but they'd already responded. They were responding already.
Man,
I'm telling you, some of that stuff, it was just, it's like, wow, why was I at that spot at those times, man? That was pretty,
bad luck.
Yeah. Bad luck.
Your report is like, for some reason, Joe Spinello, every time you're on this bridge, there's a dead body. You want to start explaining?
You know, but my kids will ask me, hey, let's go, you know, when they get a friend or something, and they want to, when they were younger, Dad, take us to the ghost house, or take us to here, take us to there. And, you know, I bump the stories up a little bit.
So do I. Yeah, I like doing that. I mean, when these kids were younger, or well, hell, I still do it now. I would drive by down in Argentina. I'm like, hey, see that driveway? I used to play ball there. Or, you know, didn't see a dead body. But we used to play basketball there. I played ball there. I played ball, and it's come to find out a lot of spots. You know, and then I like to drive up and down 15th Street where I grew up. I mean, you know, we no longer own that house. It's been remodeled since, but I just like driving up and down the street, just
I do too. I wonder whether or not if anybody's living in there, like if someone were start living in there, looking at us, just because we pass by it a lot. Like,
I know.
Man, that car keeps passing our
Sometimes
house.
I'll just stop and I'll look at the house.
I do that too sometimes. If I just want to
look what they did to the garage. That's pretty cool,
Right.
And they're probably outside looking like that guy in that SUV keeps coming by and looks down our driveway. What the hell's up with that?
They'd really be freaked out if you just said, "Hey, can I walk through the house real quick?"
You know what? And Joe, I want to.
I do too. Like
Because when
it's
that
crazy.
That house, they regutted it and did it all new. And
Refurbished.
what was amazing about the way my dad had the basement, I mean, there was like 1, 2, 3. There was like at least 5 rooms down in the basement. Yeah.
It's like a weird interconnecting kind of like a small room.
We had
to
the
small
washroom.
room.
We had an extra bedroom. He had his storage. He had his
workshop.
But they regutted it and they took everything out. Everything was just clean and all was just post holding it up. It was just crazy to see. They reconcreted the floor, did the walls, did the plumbing. Yeah, I mean that house did. I mean, we let it go to shit, but I mean they did get something good with it, But it's cool. But you drive by and there's like bikes in the driveway. I know there's kids there. They got a little playhouse in the yard.
Yeah.
The damn poison ivy's still there.
Is it?
I see it all along the fences. I'm like, fuck, I hated that poison ivy.
I've never gotten poison ivy until we moved to that property.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
It comes up all the time. Funny story about going back to the old neighborhood or whatever.
Uh-huh.
About 4 years ago, I've got those TVs that you see at Moonlight. They're usually blasting commercials or something. I could put my own media on there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And the gal that sold me that stuff, we were talking about the old historic Northeast, and I was like, yeah, that's where I grew up. And she goes, well, I just bought a house and refurbished it over on Pendleton. And I go, what's the address?
Uh-huh.
She lived in my grandma's house.
No.
Wow.
Oh, man.
1812 Pendleton. I said, nah. I said, somebody's putting you on, putting me on. And she goes, no. And she showed me pictures, and I go, that's my grandmother's old house. I said, was the bathroom? She goes, pink? I go, yes, Pepto-Bismol pink. I said, that's my grandmother's house. That's where I spent a lot of my childhood.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, my friend bought Mrs. Lasita's house, who was next door to my grandmother, and then the Fazzino's house across the street. She's like, yeah, we're doing a big gentrification deal. We're doing this big just refurbs of everything. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you get involved in any of that or no?
I left and I never went back.
Okay.
Because my buddies have never got out. They're still there. They're still hustling. They're still doing their thing. And,
Yeah.
I just knew that if I went back, I would probably, it was comfortable.
Yeah.
It was comfortable.
Yeah.
But whenever you athletes do this a lot that make it, I don't have that kind of dough, but when athletes make it, their friend, they try to take everybody with them, and the friends aren't on the same page and things like that. Well, they weren't on the same page as I was back then, trying to raise a family and do my thing.
Yeah.
So it was just best that I went
Separate ways.
Yeah, I still remember who they are, and I still talk to them.
Do you?
And I go to the restaurants and things like that they're trying to do. But I'm 51 years old. I didn't have time to keep getting in trouble and arrested or stuff like that. I didn't have time for that. My kids, I had to take care of my kids. Yeah. Jamie kept popping them out one after the other. I'm like, my goodness, slow down. So
telling yourself that, slow down. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what she was saying. Slow down. A little too quick.
So that's funny you bring that up because I was going to ask you about your friends. If these guys still keep in touch and
we
because like a lot of my friends I bring back on the podcast. Some of my friends from my childhood, my first friend, another buddy that we've been friends since 5th grade. They have their own episodes, so that's what we talk about from back in the day.
One of my best friends, he moved out to North Kansas City in the 8th grade. He owns a couple Dairy Queens now.
Ooh.
Out in Kearney and Liberty, and building one in Excelsior Springs right now. And then Tommy Agrusa, he's good buddies with Steven St. John.
Okay.
Who's another guy from my neighborhood.
Really?
Yep.
Steven St. John?
Steven.
That's cool.
So he's got a little restaurant called Dominic's out on 64th and I-29.
Dominic.
But he still lives down in Northeast. It's a casual fast food Italian joint. So
yeah, you know what? I want to say we went there Yeah. I think I'm
Good
familiar
food.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Big Nick Spiro, he was his dad was Carl Spiro, or his uncle was Carl, and his dad was maybe Big Nick. Anyway, Big Nick was 500 pounds.
Dang.
Yeah.
I didn't call him Big Nick for nothing.
I don't know if you know the Bronx Pizza.
Yeah.
The Bronx.
They've got these big box
Portions,
pizzas
yeah.
that you couldn't eat it for a week, you know?
Right.
Big Nick was our doorman at the Shady Lady. And they would bring a pizza and he would eat that whole pizza by himself. Dang. I mean, he'd give it up, but after we get off work, because I bartended for my dad for a couple years, we'd get off of work and he'd be like, all right, you guys stop by Hardee's, because he lived over by a Hardee's down off of Hardesty and maybe St. John. I don't remember, but he'd be like, all right, this is what we need. There's only 5 of us going over to, to party after the party kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I would bring back 6 bags of hot ham and cheese, roast beefs, that, French fries. Me and Tommy'd eat 3 sandwiches. I'd eat 2 or 3 sandwiches, and Big Nick would be eating until 7 in the morning.
Oh my God.
But anyway, his dad got shot and killed at the Virginia Tavern over off of Independence Avenue and Admiral Boulevard. And then across from the Shady Lady, there was a used car lot that his uncle Carl Spiro owned, and he had a little room like this where he did the paperwork and things. I'm walking home from school. It's 3:15 in the afternoon.
Right.
I hear a huge explosion. They blew his uncle up.
Oh.
This is back in the Mafia Wars back in Kansas City. They blew him up, and so his dad, his uncle. Anyway, Big Nick, like I said, there's some tattooed guys that we all have these tattoos here. 2 of them are dead. Larry Leggio got killed in a fire. He was a fireman back in 2015. The 2 boys that got killed in the fire on Independence Avenue, an arsonist gal, that nail lady that set fire to her place. Larry was fighting the fire, and the building collapsed on him and that Mesh kid.
Yeah.
And killed those 2. Big Nick died. Tommy's still around. Steve Healy's still around. He's out in Clay Como. He works for Ford. Or is that who's out in Clay Como? Ford?
I think
they
so.
make
Yeah.
cars or whatever. So anyway, yeah, but I still talk to all of them. My dad had a retirement party at the Shady Lady last.
I remember. Yeah.
What is it, March or April? And they showed up, and we had a good. We always have a good time.
That's good. Yeah, that's good that you guys said. And I remember, I remember seeing that invite. I don't know if we were in town or we did something, but I remember seeing that, and I'm like, wow, Joe's throwing his dad a party at the Shady Lady. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then you tell me, oh yeah, he owns it. He owned the place at one. I'm like, what? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Him and his partner Pete Genova, my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Shady
did.
Lady.
My dad opened that joint in 1985, and it used to be called the Genova's Chestnut Inn. So it was a country western bar. Tammy Wynette, Roy Clark.
They played there.
They played there.
Did they
Oh,
really?
yeah, I got pictures of it.
No.
I'm telling you, my life,
Man.
it's been a.
You got to write a book. I think you need to write a book.
No, we're gonna put it all on video. Like
people tell me you should write a book, and
Yeah.
I'm like, my stories are, sometimes people think I'm making stuff up,
Right.
but then I'll run
If you can find the photographic evidence and
Yeah.
stuff like this, and
I'll
just,
run
like,
into somebody and they'll be like,
get testimonies. That's how you go through it. Like,
"Do you
man.
remember when?" And my kids will be looking like that. So that was true. I'm like, guys, I'm not lying to you. I grew
Why
up with
would
some
I?
weird stuff.
Right.
I grew up with some weird stuff happening to us, and I don't know. It just makes me who I am, and it's just funny stuff.
I'm telling you, it could be a solid book or like biopic. It could be very good.
We can start it right here. It's what do you call the audio books?
Audiobooks,
But it's,
yeah.
You know, we do it in this form. That's
And if you know anything about my family, people are like, you need a reality show.
there you go.
You know, you do so many weird things,
ventures,
and
yeah.
say so many weird things.
We have the technology, Joe. We can probably do that right here in this studio.
I don't want somebody up in my life like that. No way.
Hey. Reenactments, though. We can find actors and whatnot. Speaking of acting,
I saw the commercial.
Did you?
I
You were
was
watching the
getting-
Chiefs game?
I saw the commercial and I go, what? Yeah, I didn't know that that's your deal. I didn't know.
I do that. I do that as well. I do modeling as well. So that was one I had done a couple months back. And I for a while, I was like, I don't know when it was going to air. Really not thinking about who it was because it was for Community America Banking. I really didn't realize that they were a sponsor with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I get a call yesterday. Someone texts me, "Hey, your commercial coming. Was where on the Chiefs game?" I'm like, "Are you serious? That's where it came out on?"
And then to make sure that it was you, I got onto Facebook
Uh-huh.
and I saw somebody. I go, "That was him."
Yeah,
Yep. I told Jamie. I said, "I know that kid."
yeah, I know.
Sure you
And
do, Joe. Sure you do.
Yeah. Another one of your stories. Joe.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
man. Go ahead.
Now it's funny because you're talking about Dairy Queen earlier. Like your buddy owns a bunch of Dairy Queens. I did a Dairy Queen commercial also earlier this year. That goes around like on the like Snapchat and stuff like that. It's more internet based.
But it was
His name is Frank Lombardo.
Yeah.
If things ever pop up or you get to meet any of the owners or whatever, his name's Frankie Lombardo.
Frankie Lombardo.
Yeah. Fell out of the tree on 9th Street. So remember I told you my parents were divorced and my dad would be on the road a lot.
Yeah.
His mom would always say, "Come up for dinner." She'd know when I was alone or whatever because Frank would be down at my house. She'd call on the phone, "Hey, send Frankie home. If you want dinner, you come up too." Just stuff like that. But I remember him falling out of that tree on 9th Street that's still there. And everything's still there. It's just all dilapidated now. It's not nice like they used to keep it. But nothing is anymore.
wow. That's cool. Yeah, he has a commercial that like the Dairy Queen commercial. We didn't find out about it until
Yeah, I didn't. I like a couple months later. Like every commercial I've done, someone else has told me like they eventually saw it because this one I did back then. A cousin of mine, he was just scrolling through Twitter and he found it. I was like, "Dude, are you serious? I've been waiting forever. I didn't know where it was coming out because." Like we don't have cable anymore. We just use streaming devices, so we don't see commercials like on regular TV. So he says like, "Oh my God!" Like I started going through. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna find it." Then I eventually found it. And I was like, "Oh my God! Okay, there it is. Look, there I am."
Yeah,
Are
that's
they
pretty-
national?
Yeah, because like I said, like this one is on Snapchat, so it's like if when you're scrolling through how it works on like Snapchat, like if you have Snapchat or not, I'm not sure. Like okay, well, so everybody like who you're friends with, they post stories. Just little quick whatever you want to post, like anybody could see that's your
I know
friends.
what it is. My
Yeah,
kids
okay,
know
yeah.
it.
So
I
they
just
probably
don't
explain it. Yeah, so like what they do is like between the stories, like you click on so many stories and then a little commercial or a little advertisement will pop up in between.
Gotcha.
Well, that's where it's popping up a lot, and other people told me they've seen it. And I'm so desperately just sitting there, like I'll click through it. And I'm like, all right, where is it? And I still haven't found it. I've seen the first one, but I haven't seen the Snapchat one because that one's all over. And that's what
funny
I'm
how
like.
you say. Well, because we found out through Isaiah, right?
Yes, Isaiah. Uh huh.
Yeah, he lives out in Naperville, Illinois. Chicago. Yeah, and he just happened to send somebody a message saying, "Hey, I just saw Marcos on Twitter." What? And it happened to be that Dairy Queen commercial.
That's funny.
So then, we found it and we're throwing it out there, sharing it. But
And so the cool,
paid?
I did. I got paid for them.
My uncle my Uncle George Cascone did a commercial for Hidden Valley Ranch. And every time it aired.
Hey, that's a little different because those are the big names. Yeah. I mean, I have a pretty solid so far because doing Dairy Queen and Community American Bacon, those are pretty big names.
Yeah, they are.
But I get a flat rate just because like it's a little bit smaller, especially because I didn't know this, but I'm assuming that this is going to show every time the Chiefs play. So I'm like, okay, crap. I should have thought about this more. I didn't realize it was going to be that big or like it was going to be on air every freaking time. But I got it.
So maybe we'll be seeing you all season long.
I know. That'd be cool.
That is cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. That's where I'm going as well. That's like my other side.
All right. Every time Marcos comes on TV, we got to take a shot.
During the Chiefs game?
See how many.
No.
Speaking of shots, what about the fireball machine? Is it still around?
Yeah, I still have it. Oh, yeah. I still have it. It's just trying hard to get a lot of people. I don't know. I try. Somebody has a party and say, "Hey, I got a fireball machine. Can I bring?" Well, I don't know about all that. So I have it in my little shop right next to a small fridge and yeah. But yeah, definitely got to bring it out. Hell, I'm gonna bring it out today, Mark.
Are you later today? Do we even have Fireball?
Oh no! You know what? The last bottle I have, I gave it to cousin Donna for her birthday.
Oh, there you
But
go.
we all drank it anyway.
I know a guy.
You know a
They
guy
can
that
get
sells
you more.
liquor? Hell yeah! Hook me up, Joe. We'll find that guy.
The other day, I'm sorry I missed you. I got out there and then they called me, said my RV was ready, so I had my Budweiser guy bring me across town.
That's
to get my
funny.
RV, and I drove it home, and then
So he was in his big truck, like he.
nah, they
Oh,
got
just one of
those
the
little
small trucks.
Sprinter vans or whatever they're
Oh,
called.
okay. You know what? When you told me he was a truck, I was like, man, this guy just delivered Joe a bunch of beer, and hey, can you give me a ride to the RV?
In his
Yeah.
semi?
I've done that before.
Oh, have you?
It's frowned upon.
Oh,
You're not
okay.
supposed to have other people in the,
Oh,
in the
okay.
trucks, but he brought me over there just to pick it up, and then Jamie brought me out later in the day.
Okay. Yeah.
You plan to do a lot of cross country road action with that?
You know what? I bought it for AJ, my son's baseball seasons. I was staying 30, 40 nights a summer in hotels. So I thought, this is terrible, you know. And I just didn't want to do it because I always feel like I would leave something or blah, blah, blah. So I bought an RV. This is my third one. It's a diesel pusher, and it's got the washer and dryer. And so
it's badass.
Yeah.
That's a house. That's a movable house.
It is. It's a 40,000-pound house. That's, you know, so you drive, you get it there, but baseball tournaments, you know, we'd be there and kids would bring their uniforms over because they'd be sweaty. I'd wash them for everybody and feed them, and it was a lot of fun. You know, the only thing AJ didn't miss, but they were older now. They don't run around the hotels and stuff like that. So it was basically his junior, senior year in high school, and then when he went to Arkansas State to play ball, I'd follow his team around, like to Myrtle Beach when they played Coastal Carolina or Alabama or whoever. I would just follow them around and use my RV. And
did you put their logo on the side of the RV? And
their banner, yeah.
Of course, you had Moonlight Liquor on one side. And
so at these big schools that you'd go to, like Ole Miss or Alabama, they'd have in the football stadium parking lot, they have RV parking. Because that's a big deal down there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Well, in Arkansas State, it's obviously smaller, but in the baseball parking lot, they had 20 hookups. So I get down there, and before I knew that I should just ask the baseball coach, I'd bring my bolt cutters. And I'd cut the lock off of the lock box, and I'd raise it up, and I'd plug in, and I'd use all that stuff there. Yeah. And then one time, the baseball coach, he said, "How did you get over there? How did you get that stuff?" And I said, "Coach, listen, if this is going to harm my son, I don't want to tell you." He's like, "Well, you know, I could just go and hook it for you, hook it up for
I got the key right here.
Yeah." He goes, he gets on the radio. "Hey, Casey, come on down. Mr. Spinello needs the power, blah, blah, blah. And bring another lock because there's one cut on the ground."
Someone cut that way.
I was like, Coach Raffo, I'm so sorry. But he's like, all you had to do is ask.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed. But anyway, I stayed there. AJ's apartment his dorm was right up the street. Yeah. I'd hear the dings of the bat, and I knew baseball. I knew batting practice was in.
That was your alarm to wake up?
That was it. Yeah. That was it. Those are good times. Good times.
Yeah. Tell me about when you played you play high school ball? You said there was high school?
Mm-hmm. My last 2 years at Park Hill, I played.
Okay.
And then went to so I was going to play football out of high school. Okay. And I took a recruiting trip to Mizzou and thought I was a stud. I'm basically the same size minus some weight. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, and I thought, man, I'm a running back, 240 pounds. I run pretty good. And then I'm down there, and I'm sitting in the stands behind the end zone with some other recruits and stuff. And these guys were 6'5", 300 pounds, a couple of them, and running backs just look like you could just tell when somebody's. And I'm like, So I got home. I told my dad. I said, I don't think I made it for football. I said, I don't think I could do this. Were they going to put me at a nose guard or something? I hated getting hit. Now I liked running the ball and hitting people, but I didn't like getting hit or hit, just being on a linebacker or whatever. So he's like, okay, well.
He said, give me back my shoes because you can't fit them.
That's right. So in high school, being a pretty good ball player, whatever, he thought that there was a rumor going around that Baltimore was going to draft me. And allegedly my dad said I wanted too much money. I was going to be hard to sign because of the money. I think that was just a rumor. Ended up getting passed on the draft altogether. Didn't have any baseball offers because it was so late I was going to go play football. Yeah. And then baseball offers didn't come in, so I went to Maple Woods Community College, talked to a guy named Bill Sharp, best coach I've ever had. He was just an old drunk. Just great guy. Oh, my gosh.
So he's a real old school style.
Old school. Now, he's going to come back. He'll come back into play in my baseball career. He will.
Just an old drunk.
Yes. So he's like, listen, lose some weight. I know all about you. You're a great ball player, great hitter, blah, blah, all this stuff. He goes, I'll give you the scholarship. Just do what I ask you to do for the fall. So I dropped 60 pounds.
Dang. Wow.
In the fall. And
what was it?
So you come in there with one leg?
Do you remember Nutrisystem?
Yeah.
I did Nutrisystem during the fall, and I dropped all that weight. And boy, I felt good. I looked good.
Is it still around?
Nutrisystem, yeah. Dan Marino used to do their commercials.
Oh.
Chris Berman. And
Nutrisystem, yeah.
anyway, so I did that.
Interesting.
Spring rolls around.
I thought you could say you did the Jane Fonda workout. You remember that?
No. So spring rolls around, and I had a great season. Freshman player of the year, All-American, all that good stuff.
Spring rolls around.
That's the time.
You know what I was thinking? Spring rolls, like Chinese spring rolls. You said spring rolls around. Like,
well,
okay, you're eating spring rolls, you're working out. Oh, okay, spring rolls around. All right, my bad.
Spring rolled around. Baseball season came around, and I had a great season, and thought, okay, I'm going to get drafted in the top probably 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So I go to Illinois to play in a wooden bat league, and the draft's happening. It was back when the draft would happen in early June. It's my birthday, and no phone call. So I called Bill Sharp, my drunk coach. I said,
hold on.
I said, right, Bill, has anybody called you anything? He's like, no. He goes, I'm getting nervous and blah, blah, blah. So I get sad. Day 3 goes by, nothing. So I'm like, man, I don't want to be here. I don't know if you've ever been in a bad relationship. You just don't want to, you got to get out because you feel like I was terrible. I wanted my mom and my dad to be around me. And so I went back home, played in that Van Johnson League for the remainder of that season. Next year comes along, had a better season, nothing. But I had offers to go play a Division I baseball. So I signed at Memphis State, University of Memphis now.
Okay. Oh,
and again, Anthony Hardaway is my buddy.
Oh, you serious?
Penny Hardaway. Remember
Penny
that name?
Hardaway.
Do you remember he had little?
I don't think
I wouldn't.
Yeah, Marcus wouldn't know that. Yeah,
he was there the same time I was. We'd eat lunch every other day. He was in his Mercedes Benz with his new sweatsuits on. Just he made more money in college than it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So when they say that athletes got
paid.
I saw
you saw it firsthand.
They get paid.
I saw it firsthand. Anyway, so I went there and played there a year and a half, and then transferred to Central Missouri State my last semester, and finished up there. The Royals called. I went to spring training with the Royals. Got released from the Royals. Went to the Astros, and then the strike hit. So that stopped everything. The White Sox picked me up, and so I played a season and a half with the White Sox, and then old Bill Sharp was a coach up in North Dakota in the Northern League, like the Monarchs are now, or the T-Bones used to be, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And I was on my way out of that, and he called me, said, "Hey, come up here. I'll pay you. You play on this team up here," and that's kind of where I ended it years later. So.
Yeah. What position did you play?
What do you think? Well, you think I was
you a catcher? You a catcher, right?
Yes, I was a catcher.
Okay.
Big frame.
Well, Joe, I'm trying to let the millions and millions of viewers that we have out there,
I was a catcher.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Catcher was a fun position because I played that in Little League, and then because the ball was in your hands all the time.
It was.
And you got to control the game.
Still is.
Yeah.
The ball.
Okay. All right. Both balls. Let's put the other one in there with it. Slow down, Joe. Slow down. Man. That's cool.
And then I got a bunch of baseball stories that we could talk about. The guys that I met during the baseball days.
What's one of your best stories out there?
Do you remember a guy named Ken Caminetti?
Yes.
He died.
Oh.
That's it. That's the whole story.
So tell me another story, Joe.
So Kenny Caminetti, he was on steroids and stuff.
Yes, he was a big dude. Yeah.
So I'm with the Astros, and I'm hitting in the batting cage by myself, just doing my thing. And the big leaguers were on strike, but the minor leaguers were still the ones that they invited in to play were still there. And it was after hours. I didn't really know many people, so just like I said, drinking and partying really wasn't a big deal for me. And it was Friday at probably 6:30 at night, and I hear this guy, "Hey, kid, you want to throw me batting practice?" And I look over, and sure as shit, it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw batting practice. You throw to me? He goes, "Yeah, I'll throw to you too." So we're taking our hacks, doing our thing. You want to go have a drink? it's 8:30 at night. I'm tired. My hands are hurting. I said, yeah, absolutely. Who's going to turn that down?
Right.
And so he's like, all right, well, I'm staying over at the team hotel or whatever. He was at some hotel. I walk in and knocking on the door. I walk in and he's got a towel on. He's over there in the mirror, shot himself up.
You saw it.
Yeah.
You saw it.
I saw it.
Jeez.
Like, no, I'm just kidding. I didn't see it.
Oh,
No, I knocked on the door and he took me out to dinner. He took me out to have a drink and a cocktail and that was fun. And then David Cohn, you guys, he's a Kansas City guy.
David Cohn, yeah.
Yeah, I was with the Royals for about 13 seconds and he was, he knew my uncle. He played ball with my uncle, coached him actually, and so he knew the name. When he came up to me at big league camp and
yeah.
I was with the Royals, and I had just hit a home run off of one of the pitchers that ended up being in the big leagues and struck out a time or two and did this and did that. George Brett had just retired. He comes over. He says, hey.
Who's George Brett?
He used to play for the Mexican fast pitch softball.
Oh, no, that was Jorge.
Oh, yeah.
Jorge Brett. Yeah, I remember him.
So he says, hey, I need you over at the big league park. So we walk across the parking lot to the big league park, and I'm thinking, man, he must have saw me hit or something.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. He goes, throw batting practice to all the big leaguers. I'm like, he goes, you want the job? He goes, just because catchers could throw short distances pretty straight.
Yeah.
He goes, you want the job? Well, Mr. Brett, I want to play ball. I'm here to play. I'm 22 years old, 23 years old.
Uh-huh.
He's like, you need to throw batting practice. I'm like, oh man.
He said, no, give your dad back his shoes and just throw.
And then when I did throw batting practice, but after that I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going back over, and they released me the next day.
No shit.
Yeah.
Damn it, Joe.
do you ever look back on that like, man, what if I just kept throwing at batting practice?
You'd be throwing in the All-Star games.
They were going to give me $125 a game.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah. I wanted to at least try to, exhaust every option I had.
Yeah.
And I talked to George Brett at Mission Hills Country Club.
Yeah.
A friend of mine lived there. They played golf, and they were.
How'd you approach him? Son of a bitch.
you remember me, you son of a bitch?
I told him the story.
Yeah.
And he had no response or nothing. He's just like,
Couldn't remember? You don't think?
I don't know if he remember. He probably didn't care.
Speaking of George Brett, I don't think he listens to this podcast. But did you ever hear his story in training camp?
About
Where
shitting his
he
pants?
shit his, oh, that is a great story.
And he's so loud and boisterous, and he tells these stories. And he was telling stories that I was there for maybe 45 minutes, and I heard probably 10 stories. And he commands the room, and he tells these ridiculous stories.
That story is just great.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I used to listen to these guys out in New York. They're called Opie and Anthony, which is why I like doing this, because this is what they did, but in their big show. Not that I'm at that level, but they happened to be talking about George Brett. And I was like, what do these guys know about George Brett? And then they talked about that story, and they played the audio.
Well, yeah.
That was my first time hearing it. That's probably about maybe 20 years ago when I heard that story. That's a great story. You have to play that for you.
I've never heard it. I'll have
Never
to listen
heard that
to
story?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Some of those stories he was telling, but that's, back in those days, the big league stories that you hear, guys were drinking in the clubhouse and smoking and out carousing every night. And even back in the days when the New York Yankees used to have a farm team here in Kansas City, they were called Kansas City A's. Maybe.
Yeah, the A's.
It was like a farm team, I think it was. And, those guys had to have jobs in the off season. They sold cars. They bartended for my at Genova's Chestnut Inn, Hank Bauer. And there was
Bounce at the Shady Lady.
it wasn't the Shady back then.
Oh,
it was
okay,
Genova's Chestnut Inn.
All right.
Guys like him, Yogi Bear. My grandfather played for the Yankees. Cup of coffee. Yogi Bear was his replacement.
No.
Isn't that it's just weird
Jeez,
shit that
John,
happened.
we got.
I'm telling you,
Write a book. Write a book. There's too much.
I'm telling you, man. Now that I'm sitting here talking, I could think of so many stories. It's just, it is. It's just a weird.
We got time. It's Sunday. We got time.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
It's already 1:45.
I know, right? This is fun. This is fun. This is what I like about it.
Believe it or not, we're on an hour and a half.
Heck yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
So speaking of, it's sad about Lynn Dawson. I think he's in hospice or something.
That's what I read. Yeah.
And I love that photo of him sitting on the sideline smoking a cigarette.
Did you see what was between his legs down there?
Is it
He
a
had
bottle?
like a bottle of something there. I don't. Maybe it was just a Coke or something, but he had like a bottle. I thought maybe is that a beer on the sideline?
No, I never paid attention to it, but I want that picture. I've seen it online, and I'm like, that's just a classic picture. And
It is.
people are like, oh, you know what? That's not cool. You know, he was smoking. I mean, that's what they did.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody
It was,
wanted to smoke.
and I don't know if that was a Super Bowl pick, or maybe it was a season. You know, it's a cool pick. I like it. You know,
Yeah.
just sitting there chilling with the waiting to go back out on the field. You know,
Those are the times, man. You know, when I always say to my kids, you know, back in the day, they're like, "Oh boy, here we go." It was just different. You know, you didn't get offended all the time. You didn't have to be who you're really not. You know, my kids are always on my ass about, "Dad, can you at least put on an act like like you care, or like you're PC a little bit?" I'm like, "Why? You know, I'm just who I am. You know, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's
Right.
feelings. I'm just trying."
I
to
know.
be me."
I remember that one time we were talking, and you said, "Yeah, I don't know. People just think I'm an asshole. It's just me. That's just the way I talk. That's just the way I'm." Like.
Maybe you like to think, hey, when you've lived through what I lived through,
Yeah.
you can come talk to
I
me.
mean, some of the expressions that I use, my kids freeze up like, "Dad, you didn't just say that." I don't know what it means, and they tell me what they think it means. I'm like, "That's not what it means at all." And it's
Right.
there's just a lost in translation kind of deal with our generation.
I'd like to hear an example.
Let's
We
call
can
it-
blur it if we need to.
Hey, call a spade a spade.
Oh,
Well, I never knew that black people were called spades or whatever.
Right.
It's like that's just call a spade a spade when you're playing spades. That's
Right.
where
Yeah.
it came from. That's what my parents always said, so I said it. You know, that was,
it does come down to a very mindset, like because like everybody does want to like not they don't want to take it to an offensive place, but for some reason your mindset just goes like, what are you talking about? I'm talking about cards, like call it like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like
call it like it
is.
is.
Call
That's
it like it is.
Well, Dad, just say call it like it is. That doesn't sound as good.
Right?
Right.
This doesn't sound as call a spade a spade. Anyway, so I don't say that anymore, and there's a lot of things that I don't do anymore, just because I'd rather just keep my mouth shut than have somebody mad at me. But that's not who I am. I try to
Right.
make you laugh. I try to make
Right.
I just try to make everybody a little bit more fluffy around me. Just hey, just be cool, man. That's who I am.
Yeah, I know. See, and then first thing Joe comes into the studio, looks at me, and says, "Give me the wrong address." I was like, "Damn, my bad, Joe. I thought it was all right."
I mean, I could see how you can mess it up. Are
Yeah.
you here every day?
No.
Okay. Because you got to walk through that door to see the address on the top of it.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
It was there. Yeah.
I just tried to open the door and there it was.
That's funny. How's your pool? How's your summer going? Let me ask you. How's the summer going? Good?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah. I get a lot of pool time.
Do you?
And then, right off of the pool area, there's the like building that's got 2 glass garage doors on it that are facing the pool.
I was going to ask you about that.
I
Your
put the golf simulator.
golf simulator. Yeah.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah. We'd have to show you one day. It's so and well, before we get to that, so Sandy's been trying to take up golf. Her neighbor took her golf, so they wanted to go to the driving range. I was like, you know what? Maybe we go to Joe's, kind of practice, get some swings in.
Air conditioned, big screen TV.
But then you don't want to go outside and golf if it's you got
You're right, I don't.
you do it all.
But I play in this deal. It's called the Falcon Advisors Tour. So it's just amateurs in Kansas City that compete against each other and could, skins games and things like that. But I've been doing this for years. It used to be called the State Line Amateur Tournament.
Okay.
But now it's called the Falcon Advisors Tour. They picked up some sponsors, and about every other week I go and I play different courses, and they keep it online, and they, your scores and stuff. And like I said, it's a fun way to be
Yeah,
competitive.
I want to check it out. You showed it to me first when you showed me that room. Before you told me what I thought it was a club. I thought it was literally where's your DJ booth at?
Well, there's clubs in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, but I set it up to where you don't ever have to leave. It's really neat.
Yeah,
And then
you don't want to leave.
at night, I'll lift the doors up. Yeah, and I'll have the ball game on or whatever. I'll swim. I'll come up, throw on my little golf shoes, because it's you hit your own clubs.
Yeah.
Into a 10-foot screen, and it tracks your ball flight, your spin rates. And
I want to try it, man.
I play 7. I think I paid $700 to get like the premier package. It's a one-time fee. Pebble Beach, Troon, all these good courses, and
I'll tell you what, that does not sound very expensive. Surprisingly,
it's like $300 a year for the rest of the courses. But
That's not that bad.
I could play any course. I could wake up and play in Australia if I wanted to. You know,
That is actually really not that
What's
bad.
that new golf course that the pros are going to in
Springfield.
Afghanistan?
That
Overseas, right? So a lot of
I don't think you're playing golf in Afghanistan. I'm pretty sure it's not Afghanistan.
okay, maybe not Afghanistan. Where is it? Somewhere. And a lot of the pros are getting upset because I think Tiger Woods is. I'm getting the story all fucked up, man.
LIV golf, is that what's called? Live golf, live golf, whatever.
It might be. People are going to another country
Right.
to play golf.
Yeah.
You know, and they say it's like top of the line. And
I'm
I don't
sure
know
it
if
is.
Tiger approved it or what, but one of the guys.
Phil Mickelson's playing.
He
in it.
is one that, yeah. And I think, what was the big guy? Blonde hair.
John Daly.
Don Daly, yeah. Yeah, John Daly, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, but so you got that, and then you got the pool next to that, and you just
And you know,
is the pool getting used a lot this summer?
Yeah.
By you?
by me,
Kids?
my wife, kids.
Everybody?
Yeah. You know, I got not teenage daughters, but
Yeah.
they got a lot of friends.
Oh yeah.
You
so
know,
yeah,
they're
cool.
always doing something loud, and I got the speakers, you know, that are built into the whatever, so they could have their fun,
And
and all
of
the
course,
lights
that's
and
it.
everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
pretty
Is
cool.
it lit? The pool lit?
Yeah,
I like
it's
to-
lit.
It's lit.
You got to come on a Friday night. It's real lit. No, yeah, I got lights everywhere, and then the bubblers and whatnot. But moving over to that property, you know, I bought a nice big 60-inch Kubota mower and stuff. I can't keep up. You know, got to cut it all the time, and the weed whacking, and it's a lot. You know, I've become a farmer. I told my wife, I said, "What did we do?" You know, she goes, "Pay a lawn care company." No, they wanted $1,000 a
Really?
month to
Is
cut.
that what it is?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, so I did it myself, and
Joe, we'll come cut your grass. I got 3 boys. Come on, we can do it.
I'm pumping water out of the creek right there. I bought a pump, and I bought a fire hose and some regular like hoses, and I hook them all up, and I'm watering trees out of the creek, so I don't use my own water.
Yeah, that's good.
Because
idea,
the front of my house is all irrigated, you know, with the automatic sprinklers.
Yeah.
That's all I could afford. It's like $20,000 for a sprinkler
Holy
system.
crap.
I'm like, no.
Man.
So anyway,
Well,
just
because,
piecing
okay,
things together.
20,000 because of as big as.
16
land.
zones, and
Yeah.
it was just
Oh man, that is
too much money.
That's
It's
like a
just
football
waste.
field.
It's just a waste.
Right?
It's 5 acres, and then I got the creek, and then I got 15 acres back there.
Oh, okay,
You know, so and that's all wooded. Yeah,
man.
so I don't mess with that. But AJ made some tracks. I got one of those Polaris side by sides that he crossed the creek, and then he made tracks and trails up there.
Yeah, it's
Dope.
a Polaris. Is that what they call it? Or?
Polaris Rangers, what it is?
Yeah, you know, I remember we had talked about that you had one, and a buddy of mine, I went to his house. He lives out in Baser Linwood, and he has a little farmage out there, and I was like, oh yeah, he said a buddy of mine has one of these, and he had one, and never been in one, so he took me on a ride. They're pretty badass.
They are. They're real
Yeah.
badass. I was playing in that golf tournament. This is probably 2 months ago. And I'm probably on hole. I had 4 holes to finish, and I get a call. Gigi, my 22-year-old, 21-year-old, she says, "Don't get excited. I'm going to tell you something it's pretty upsetting, but you know, just I want you to finish your golf game, or you could come to the hospital." And I go, "Oh, what happened?" So she goes, "Well, Maya and her friends were swimming. This is 1:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, might have been a Monday, and they took the Polaris out, and she let her girlfriend drive it, and the girlfriend said, 'I'm going to do a donut,' and they flipped it,
Flew
and
off.
it landed.
And they're like this. They're
And it landed on the driver's side, and the little girl had her head stapled, and Maya, I put it on.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
she
the
had
cut
like a
she
shark
had.
bite. You
Yeah.
It was terrible. So I go to the hospital, and she's like, "Dad, I need plastic surgery." I'm like, "Jesus Christ, just get it sewed up right now. You know, let's worry about plastic surgery later." I said, "What were you guys doing?" She goes, "I let her drive it. She's a nervous wreck that she's going to have to pay for it. Her family doesn't have anything." I'm like, "Is she okay?" "Yeah, she got 5 staples in her head." I said, no, nobody's suing anybody. Nobody's in trouble.
Right.
I said, "How are you?" She's like, "I don't feel great, but you know, blah, blah, blah." She was, you know, still selfieing, taking selfies. I swear to God, she takes 1,000 pictures a day. And I don't even know where she posts them. I don't even want to know. So in the hospital bed going, tough, taking pictures. And I'm like, I guess you're okay. So I left and went home. The windshield was popped out of it. You know, it's all plexiglass stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I put it back together. I had to take my mower, wrap some cable around it. I had a winch on it, but not on my my mower, and I flipped it back over, and it seems to be all right. I don't know.
You haven't driven it since, or?
Oh, I drive it all the time,
Oh,
but
okay,
I don't ever drive it like that. I drive it to go get gas for my mowers and stuff like that, or to put gas in it. I just drive it up the street on the street on K7 or whatever, and I use it for what you're supposed to use it for. You know, it's got a bed in the back. I haul stuff,
Pull stuff.
Yeah, they take it to the party on Friday night that's up the road. You know, so they don't get caught. You still get drunk driving if you drive that thing on the street. It's not street legal.
Yeah, you can get if you're on a mower, right?
I know.
You're drunk, you can still get a ticket for that. Yeah.
So for a while, I didn't tell them that you have to have the seatbelt on or plugged in to go over 12 miles an hour. So you see them out there, they were driving, Dad, we're going to get killed. This thing doesn't go very fast. It says it goes 120 miles an hour.
And they're only going
and they're going 12. So I said, all right, guys, here's the deal. You got to have the seatbelt on. I didn't tell them you could just plug it in, but I figured it out. So they put the seatbelt on. They're flying now everywhere. You're going up the road to Johnny's house.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, and I put a big spotlight on it like these things, but they're going across. And when it comes down, it's like E.T. Remember the show E.T. with beams are going right into people's houses? I'm like, guys, shut all that shit down. You're going to get us kicked out of the neighborhood. I know, right? And I don't even live in a neighborhood.
He gets kicked out of this county.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. My kids are a different story altogether.
That's cool. You own any pets?
Yeah.
Do you?
So I had Nico.
He has a pony. He's got a pony.
All the times that I've been to Joe's house, one time, I didn't see the dogs.
I had him kenneled.
Oh, you did?
For that party, no, we didn't have him at that time. We just had the big dog. We just had Nico, and I think I had him kenneled.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, because I didn't get the dogs until like maybe May of last year. So we had Nico, who was an English Mastiff, and he was 10. We just put him down probably a month ago. We had the people.
Oh, man. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. We had Laps of Love come out to the house, and we sat with them, and the gal got down on the floor and was talking to him. And,
yeah. Oh, that had to have been hard.
Yeah, they shoot him one time with some relaxers.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see him. He just kind of put his head down and was just like, see you later. And
last time, yeah.
She's like, you guys ready? And we're like, yeah. And then she shot him up, and he was quit breathing within, 15, 20 seconds. And then he was so big, he was 180 pounds when he died.
Holy crap.
225 in his heyday.
It's a person.
Yeah. So they put him on a stretcher. They wrap him up real nice and tight. And they had to wait for another guy to come because she couldn't put him in a car. She had to get a van. So we waited for him to come, and they carried him out, and that was that. A little pricey, but it was worth it at my house. And he didn't have to move. He didn't have to do anything. But then we've got these two dogs from the Unleashed, I guess is what the shelter was. Their dad was a German Shepherd, and the mom was a mini Aussie.
Okay.
So we got Bo Jackson.
Oh, nice.
That was my favorite growing up.
Bo knows everything. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's to put a dog down like that. It's tough.
That's our second Mastiff that we put down. No more big dogs.
No,
their stomachs flip. They're they only live to be about 10, 11 years.
I better say they felt kind of young,
right? A lot of maintenance on those.
A lot of maintenance, a lot of drool. Shit. They would slobber on a wall, and it'd be like plaster. Because their jowls are always
hanging.
Yeah, it was just, but sweetest dogs in the world.
And they sit there.
Yeah. It's so gross. but yeah, and the kids, when they were little, learning to walk and things like that with Samson, he had a 42-inch neck.
Damn.
42-inch neck. I've got a 38-inch waist, and to think that
dogs
was just ridiculous, but he would be on the ground, and the kids, when they were learning to walk and stuff, would be poking him in the eyes and things like that. And he would just use his head to help him up or whatever. Yeah. He's like, whatever.
Should have got a saddle for them. Yeah. Put it on him and let them.
Yeah.
Or a wagon. Just pull them around the house.
But those big dogs, their hips, their hips
go out.
Yeah, for a while. After a while, my wife would get like a beach towel or a towel to help him up the steps. She would make it like a rope and put it under his backside and lift him up the steps. And so finally his stomach flipped, and it was a choice of, listen, we could operate, cost you like $3,500, but he might not make it.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's sad. It's sad, but that's what we did. We put our 2 dogs down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I had a beagle, and we put him down. And the saddest thing is, we knew it was time. And I mean, his back half was already gone, and he would shake, and he started having seizures.
He was blind.
And he was blind.
Deaf.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just a mess. So, but I mean, he was still with us, and I told Santa, I said, it's time, Santa. He's not going to be with us much longer. So,
Like for a beagle, he lived like 16 years.
yeah, 16 years, and they're only supposed to live like 12. So he gave us some extra years. But he was an outdoor dog. I lived in KCK. Dogs stayed outside.
Yeah.
That's what my dad taught me. Chain the son of a bitch up. Winter, summer. That's just the way my dad did his dogs, and I thought that was cool.
He was an abuser.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. No, but he would take his dogs for walks, And quick story about that. My dad took his dog for a walk, and my dad used a towing chain to walk his dogs, right? So I remember, so I said, all right, I'm going to take the dog for a walk. My dad, I don't work and sleep and something. I'm going to take him for a walk. So I grabbed the dog, and he was what was bear?
I don't know.
It was
Crazy.
So we took him. I took him for a walk, and so he gets excited, and he takes off running like around this car, and I have this chain, this big fat chain. He run, and then he starts running up the street. So I'm like, shit. So I had tried to lift the chain up to go over the car because I was on the opposite side. The hood, the windshield, the top of the car. That walk ended quick. I pulled him back in. We're going right back to the house. I put him back in. I said, I'm done. I'm not walking. And then I went back to look at that car. I fucked that car up. No. And it was up the hill, he just took off running because he saw something.
Whose car was it?
I don't know. It was just a car up on the top of the hill by the stop sign. And I said, all right, fuck it. We're going back home. And I don't know whose car it was. And they probably came out like, damn, our hood's all scratched up. It was an old car. It wasn't like a nice new car.
Oh, okay.
No, it was
You
just
didn't go back and knock on the door?
Yeah, I did, Joe. And
they weren't home.
And they weren't home. And I was like, well.
That's their fault.
I left $20 on the door. I closed the door. I just put $20. Said sorry. Yeah. Oh, so anyway, putting our dog down the T-bone, a beagle. I tried to do it before the kids got home from school. So I put him in the van, and sure enough, they pull up, and they're like, "Where are you going?"
I mean, we knew it was time to.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Sorry, guys." Goodbye? I don't know.
Got to have closure on stuff like that, or it just lingers and lingers.
Well, we were kind of at an awkward age because, like, the oldest son, so Mario, it was his dog. He got it for his birthday.
Yeah, my dad.
So
got it
he grew up with
birthday.
him, but the rest of us, like it's a little harder to grow attachment when you're still a baby and you always known this dog was always kind of there.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, thanks for getting me out of that hole. I appreciate that.
Well,
Joe was like, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
Well, I mean, it's tough. I mean, like, it just because, like for instance, Chris don't even like dogs, so like it was just. You don't care. But like for the rest of us, like, we'd be off at school or something. So we really didn't spend a whole lot of time with them.
Right.
Although our current dog, now that's a different situation because, we got him when we're all old enough and we care the hell about him.
And he's indoor dog. And,
he's with us all the time. And man, it hurts every time something happens. Like, is something going to happen to him? Like, oh. Yeah. Like recently we went on a trip to New York.
The dog got depression while we were gone.
He got depression. Like he was so sad. Like this is the first time he's ever been.
We didn't know that happens to dogs.
Well, they say don't dogs aren't humans, so don't put your emotions on the dog. Dogs aren't sad, dogs aren't happy. I think that's BS. A dog is happy.
It has to
Dogs are happy all the time.
Tell me, how did you know it had anxiety? Or
because we were gone for a whole week, and this is the first time like he's ever been home with not us. Like someone else was watching him at the house. He didn't eat that entire week we were gone. He was like crapping on and throwing up all over the place.
Yeah, that's definitely the signs.
Yeah, and like
yeah, we didn't know.
And like we're sitting there like and we're getting calls like, hey, he's not eating him. And like we're all saying we're on a trip and like my stomach was turning. It was like I was planning to come home early anyways because I had a trip somewhere else. I get home and he gets all chipper. I'm like, oh my God, I just felt so bad. I was just like, oh my God. I was just holding him.
it put a scare to us where my sister-in-law, we even FaceTimed. So she's like, here, see, talk to Dallas, see if he'll respond. And so Sandy and I were sitting there, Dallas, you okay? You know, and he's just sitting there like he was like not happy at all.
He wasn't pissed off about his name.
Oh, no, he loves his name. He loves his name, yeah. So yeah, he don't know who Dallas is anyway. Yeah, so yeah, it's we learned something there, you know, and because every time we went out of town, somebody always stayed home, whether it was one or two of the kids, or this was the first time that we finally said, okay, we're all going to take a family trip, go visit Maud up in D.C., but we didn't take the dog, but my niece stayed there with them, you know, but it was just different because he doesn't see my niece all the time, but he did for a whole week and he got sick.
Huh.
Yeah, so
when we talk about we're talking about replacing or getting another dog.
yeah.
And when we got these two, I just wanted the one. I put a deposit on them. They were waiting until they got old enough or whatever from the shelter. Then they got to neuter them or whatever. So I put a deposit on Bo. I don't remember what his name was before that.
Yeah.
And then the day we went to go pick him up, his brother, the deposit, whoever they deposited the money on, didn't want him anymore. So I go, yeah, I'll take him too. Okay. His brother, Jackson. And then I wanted the girl. They had a sister, but she was spoken for. I had met all of them at like a play group kind of deal before, you know, you sure you want this dog kind of deal, a big meeting at a park or something. And so I took both of them home, and, you know, they got all that acreage to run.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I love that.
They went places they weren't supposed to. So I put a fence up on one side, and they went down into the creek, crossed over, and went out where I don't have a gate. You know, I got gates on my house.
Yeah.
And so I had to put an electric fence up, you know, and we did that. But I bought them because I wanted RV dog. I wanted an RV dog. So when I travel,
you have your passenger there.
Yeah, but they got a little bit bigger than RV dogs are supposed to. So they're about this big, and they're probably 40 pounds, 45 pounds. And they just can't sit on my lap while I'm driving the RV. But they're great travelers.
Unless he's going to drive.
As soon as we take off, they come up front where the air conditioned vents are, and Jamie puts the flooring up, and the floor rises, and then they just lay there the whole trip. I mean, we got to force them to get out to go to the bathroom because they can't use our bathroom. Obviously. So yeah, they're great travelers. I think we took them to Arizona and took them to wherever. You know, they've been probably 15, 20,000 miles with us.
Wow.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Start heading towards the end, Dad.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything like this, like on radio or podcast? Or
Radio stuff.
You've done some radio
back in the day, but nothing like this. This is pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So some radio, like WHB back in the day. Was it because of sports or business?
It was because of sports.
Oh, okay.
Remember the movie Rudy?
Yep.
So I'm playing in South Bend, Indiana.
Here we go. Let's go.
The White Sox had 3 levels of A-ball. They had Carolina League, which was down in the Carolinas, Hickory. And then they had the Midwest League, which was in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
And then they had where I was in Woodbridge, Virginia, which was high A. So I got sent down when a catcher got hurt down to South Bend, Indiana. And we played at a place called Kovaleski Stadium. The announcer that's in the movie Rudy was the baseball announcer for the games.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm just cleaning up after the game. I was eating something or whatever and showered up, and I'm walking out in the tunnel, and the announcer says, "Hey, Spinello, come here," and he introduced me to Rudy Ruttinger.
Really?
Yeah. So I got to meet
Rudy.
I got to meet Rudy and the announcer that was in the movie.
That's cool.
Saying, "What are they chanting? It's Rudy," whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool because that movie had just come out.
Did you get pictures?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
We need the proof for the stories.
I know. Yeah, we got.
And now these pictures aren't on an ii'phone or nothing.
Right.
They were pictures that I had to have developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I tell you, now that you start talking about it, and I've always heard, about the book deal and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, man, I do have a lot of stuff. I just have to use like things like these kind of platforms to bring it all out.
Yeah. No. Again, this is probably my 4th time mentioning, but Joe, if you want, we can do that. We can set something up, just like a round table, and just sit and just tell stories, and have it all documented, audio, video. Man, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be,
I'm in.
yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Because I say that because my Sandy and her sisters want to get some older uncles that are still, coherent. They remember a lot of stuff. Try to get a lot of history because my mother-in-law's still with us, but the dementia's hitting her pretty hard. So we have uncles that are still her age, but can remember everything from childhood to the floods we're talking, they're born in the 30s and they're still with us. And like I said, they're still coherent. And we're trying to set up something here. And we're going to try to bring them in and we're going to talk just like we said we want to do with you. Talk to them and try to get some history out. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, and have it all on video for our young ones. And hell, some of the older ones that are still with us now and didn't even know that these uncles did this, that their mom. I mean, they may have stories about my mother-in-law back in the day, some funny stories, good stories,
Because think about it, when you die, when my poppy died, he's just a generation removed from not
History.
even a memory anymore. It's just like, man, it sucks because I was alive when he was obviously alive, and I heard some of the stories then, and I got to ask him about some of this and how good he was, blah blah blah. But now, it's just a distant memory for me. My kids don't, yeah, sure, Dad, whatever.
Yeah.
Show me something. I want to see something. Tell me, and I'll show them articles about that stuff. But it's just not the same. Once you die, you just you want to leave. I guess that's called a legacy.
Yeah.
Something to talk about and things like that. The stories. I would cherish that stuff with my family, especially my dad. He'd make you guys so entertained.
Let's bring him in, Joe. Let's set something up.
And
Second
the way
season.
he tells stories, and it's just like, boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
And some of his friends that they won't ever be on camera or talking to you. But if you had them in a room, you'd be like, are you kidding me? That stuff. Some of the movies were made based on some.
See,
of
that's
the
what I'm
things.
talking
It's
about.
like,
Yeah. That's
Casino.
Man, we can do that.
It's like that all happened in
but-
Kansas City, my friends.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
Like Casino with Jack Nicholson? Or
No.
But Casinos with Joe Pesci and
Oh, right.
where they go from Kansas City. Well, they said it was another place, but they used to be at Shemeka's Market on Independence Avenue, where they go to the back room and bring from the skimming proceeds from the casinos in Vegas that the Italians here owned
Yeah.
and brought it here. And they end up, Mr. DeLuna was the guy that had a heart attack at his house when the FBI came, and he had written everything down. They told him not to write down, and he had just chronicled of everything.
Names, accomplices,
No way.
and just man.
Wow.
So a lot of history is out there, and it's fun. It's to hear them tell those stories. It's like, wow, it's history.
Man.
So fun.
Man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's like I said, we need to do that, Joe.
Yeah.
We can set something up, even if we don't set up video, just the audio. We can do that. We don't have to put it on YouTube, but it'll be out there on Apple and Spotify.
We'll make a dark room so like you blur out their face.
Talk like this.
Yeah.
We'll distort their voice.
Yeah, distort the voice.
Back in 1947.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny.
but
But I'm in.
all right, yeah, we can do that. More stores in the future. Liquor stores.
I'm building one across town in Gardner.
You don't want to come this way?
I don't want to be in I just want to be on the collection end of rents and things like that. I really don't. The day-to-day operations are great, but I like my time, my free time and travel time and golf time and all that time. And, we built this house so that when the kids start having kids, they'll have a place to come and stay and we get to do all this stuff with the pool and the Polaris and all that. So that's where I want to go. I don't want to be hustling every day.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to build for myself now.
Okay.
And, knock on wood, it happens. It comes true because the path that I'm taking it seems to be
It's the right direction.
the right direction.
As you're going in the right way.
If nothing else, it's the right direction.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. We'll end it on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming in. It was awesome. Awesome. Finally getting you to. I'm glad you had the time to come in and talk to us.
Yeah.
And again, Marcos and I, we appreciate you helping us out this way.
Yeah, no
It's
problem.
awesome. I'm glad you got to see and what we do here and what it's like here in the studio. And
It's pretty awesome. I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know about the modeling career, but the no, but it's I appreciate our friendship. I really do, man. You've been a constant, and it's just been fun watching you and your family and everybody. You guys are very inclusive and all that.
So
good
you
stuff.
guys, yeah,
I like hearing your stories about your family and how the get-togethers. I'm glad that somebody's still keeping that.
We're
stuff
still doing
alive.
that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that really makes me happy. I wish my family would do more of it.
Well, you know what? I'll invite my family over. We'll come to your house.
You'll invite us over.
You got a pool too.
Yeah, we do.
But you don't have that golf simulator.
I don't have a golf simulator.
That's nice. You guys will love that.
Yeah, we'd have to, like I said, we'd have to try because Sandy, we're getting to an age where we don't do much. She's doing volleyball and she comes home sore all the time.
Pick a
she
little
went
more,
golfing.
less.
She went
stress.
golfing and she's like, "That was pretty cool. That was her first time." Of course, I've only done it once too, and I never got invited back.
That speaks volumes.
Yeah. Real quick story. I don't know if I ever told you this, but there was 3 other guys and myself. There was 4 of us. We went golfing. They invited me and I said, you know what? I don't golf. Mario, you played ball. You can hit a ball. You see it, hit it. It's that simple. I said, okay. And, I went to the driving range and I was like, all right, this feels good. What's the name of the driving range? The big one.
Top Golf?
Yeah, Top Golf. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I liked it. So I said, yeah, I'll try it. We went golfing. Long story short, I didn't know I should have took my glasses. Wow, I hit the ball. I lost it every time.
Wherever
Wherever it went. And then these guys were like, and I say, you guys, can you help me out? At least help me, tell me where the ball went. So they didn't like that.
It takes a lot of time.
It does, and we were out there for a long time. Next weekend, I didn't get the phone call. They all went golfing again. They put another guy in my spot. And they just kept them 4 together and never called me back. So, anyway, that's the way my golf story goes.
I'm not going to say I wouldn't do the same, but I would have done the same.
and I wasn't a fan of the golf cart. I would have rather walked. I don't know why. Maybe golf cart's easier.
Dude, there's a lot of walking.
I figured that out after like the 5th hole. I'm like, okay, shit. It's
a lot of walking.
Especially if you're playing in 85, 90-degree weather.
Right, yeah. And that day
Plus,
was cloudy,
you
it
need
was
somewhere
cool.
to put all your drinks, man. You can't walk and hold
I
your
didn't have a
drinks.
cigar I should have had a cigar that day.
Yeah. And they even make good cigar holders for the golf cart. You can put right here with the music, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should practice and I'll take you out with me.
All right, well, I need to practice in your simulator.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm the golfer. Me and my buddies golf all the time.
Yeah, these guys golf all the time.
Where do you guys play?
We don't go to like super expensive places. Like back in high
Painted
school.
Hills.
Yeah, we go to Painted Hills. Like one of the ones like when we were in high school, our team like we'd go to a lot. So we like going to Tomahawk a lot.
Yep.
That we love playing there for sure. And then we go to some cheap places like
But you know what? Those are nice courses.
they are.
They're not fantastic, but they're nice
Yeah.
and they're expensive.
Are they just
less
like
expensive?
they are like your cheapest? Are they like 9-hole?
No.
No,
There are some 9 holes. Like we just played at a 9-hole yesterday out in like DeSoto or something. I can't remember what it's called. Like
Goat Ranch.
some.
Goat
Yeah.
Ranch Village. Some of those are terrible.
Are they?
Yeah, like Gardner's
still-
got one that's not great.
Yeah.
But if you're a golf guy and you want to play some cheap golf or whatever, go play. It's
Yeah, we do. Like we've always go to like Smiley's, like out in-
Smileys, yeah.
Yeah, we go there just because you got to walk it, but I mean, like it's a small course and we just get our fill in.
That's just a par 3 course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, part 3, whatever. I don't know what that means. You ever do disc golf?
No.
No, want to try it? You have land that you could
I
do
know,
that. That'd be
I
cool.
know. It's been an idea that I want to put a go-kart track in the back.
Oh man,
My daughter Maya wants, Dad, let's do a lazy river. What do you mean a lazy river?
That's a lot of energy and water to be pumping just for.
my back 2 or 3 acres.
you have a creek back there.
There's a creek, but that's floodplain right there, so you can't build or dig or nothing back there. I'm like, come on with the lazy river. But the the go-kart
Go-kart.
thing, that sounds
That'd
fun.
be cool. Yeah. Get a few go karts. I had a go kart. My dad, Western Auto. Remember Western Auto
Oh
stores?
yeah.
My dad bought me a go kart. I was probably about 8. I think it was before my sister was born, and yeah, cool little red go kart, and just put gas in it. Well, started like a lawnmower, and that's where I would spend my time at Franklin Center. Like I was telling you, the playground a block over. That's where I spent my time, just going around the whole thing. Then start driving through the alleys, and then actually I went down an alley about 4 blocks down, and a cop sees me, And I see him, and then I kind of just try to make my way, and I'm like, whoa, I start going home. And sure enough, he's right behind me, following me all the way home. And that was quite an adventure for me. I get home, I go in the driveway, and I'm freaking crying. And Dad's like, what's wrong? I go, Dad, there's a cop. And the cop, sure enough, he comes down the street, and he stops in front of the house, gets out, has a talk with my dad. I don't know what they talked about, but I'm sure they said, this kid shouldn't be driving this go-kart. I mean, dude, like I said, you're going through alleys, so there's streets, and sometimes I wouldn't even, I would just take it and then take the next one, take the next street. And yeah, so Dad was like, no, you got to stop doing that, son. You know, you're either going to get hit or you're going to hit somebody or, but yeah, Western Auto.
Yeah.
You know that big sign out there downtown?
Downtown.
Dude, I love that sign.
Yeah.
I love, we were at my nephew's wedding, and they had these black and white pictures, giant picture, and what that Western Auto logo. Was badass. I was like,
They have one at.
I want to get one of those.
Where do the kids play volleyball? Bartle Hall.
Yeah.
They've got that big area with the Kansas City Kings jerseys.
Oh,
and all
yeah,
that.
they
got
have-
the big Western.
yes, you're right.
That's lofts now. Those are all apartments.
Okay.
The Western Auto lofts is what they're called.
Oh, so where the sign?
Where the
is.
sign is, that's all.
Those are
high dollar.
And what was it before? Was it an actual?
It was their offices.
Wow, that's a big.
Yeah. Western Auto had several offices. I think they were a Kansas City company. Just Kansas.
Yeah, I
that
think
was
so,
their
yeah.
Headquarters. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I need to go downtown, take some good pictures. We need to put Western Auto right behind us. That'd be awesome.
Very cool.
All right, Joe,
All right.
Mr. Spinello, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
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 Are we good?
We are good.
We're here in a second.
Yep. Don't go nowhere, Joe. I know you're in a hurry to get somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Big Modcast. Until then, peace out.